Salt Lake City, Utah. Welcome to the program. You can tell from my voice, it is Friday, end of the week, dog days of summer. And I say, who? I got nothing but good stuff for you over the next 3 hours. It is the Sean O'Connell Show. His boy, Zachariah, filling in for him, ESPN 700. As always, we want you to be a part of the program. Call or text in on the Dish Pros text line, 877-353-0700. The state is at ESPN 700. If you're a little shy and you just want to tweet, I am at Zach Sports, ZAK Sports. And we got a lot of stuff for you today as we go throughout. And we are now 6. I was talking yesterday, we are a week away from Utah football. Well, now we are officially 6 days away from Utah football. And I know you can feel it. I know you can smell it. It's everywhere. It's got to be in your advertisements. I'm assuming people are wearing more Utes gear when you walk around the city. You got to feel it. I can feel it. All the way from here, I can feel it. James? So if I can feel it, I know they're feeling it down the sales party. Everybody was in their gear. Everybody was decked out, red everywhere. As you can see, still need a little time. We just launched Utah on Wednesday, okay? Now, yesterday was my first day doing it remotely. We had some, technical difficulties, an hour and a half or so, but now we should be locked and loaded. Now, what I need to do on my end over the weekend, James, is get my background set up a little bit. I don't have the cords long enough to, hook up the Rodecaster Duo. This is the technological side for all you tech guys out there. I got a Rodecaster Duo Pro thing now, so I got to hook that up to my laptop. It hooks up to my microphone, and so I need longer cords so that I can get a better viewing experience. Right now, you're getting my hug from about the chest up. Still got Tupac back there. Still got Michael Jordan back there. Dan the Man above my dome. Hung up my Utah shirt that OC's daughter was nice enough to pick out for me. And, so we'll get it all ironed out. When the days that I'm either the Fry Hour on Wednesdays, by the way, any sponsors out there, Jackie James, by the way, sent me like a one sheet to advertise for my hour. So I'm going to be spending the rest of my Friday doing that, calling up different places, trying to get my hour sponsored. But whether I'm doing a Zachariah Hour every Wednesday from 1 to 2, or I'm filling in for OC when he's got to call fights from 11 to 2, I'm going to get my background set up. So forgive me. It's the initial week. I look a little bit like, I'm being held hostage, but I assure you I'm safe and sound. And we got a good 3 hours for you for the rest of your Friday, getting you ready for the weekend. And there was some noise, believe it or not. I'm not going NFL to start the show. I'm not going college to start the show. I'm going to go high school. We'll get into that in a second. It's my duty, James, to give the people Utes football. So we will start with that. And then the high school tie-in, obviously, is Utes football. But a big, shocking upset last night from a team with a player that the Utes are just doing their damnedest to pursue. And he showed over the first couple of games why exactly he's a 5-star recruit and why the Utes are going so hard after him. So we'll get into that and much, much more. But I want to start here. I'm gonna update the polls from yesterday because, a lot of people don't listen to the show or participate with the show in real time. Some people go check it out on the ESPN 700 website. Some people listen to the podcast. Some people watch the YouTube video later. Again, we are on YouTube, so we want you to join us. And James, all they got to do is search ESPN 700 Sports, correct?
Just search
Twitter account.
Honestly, if you just search ESPN 700 YouTube in Google, it'll be the top link you get to. It's official. The official handle on YouTube is ESPN 700 Sports Utah.
There you go. Make sure you subscribe, like, comment, all that stuff. You can participate. It's 2024, James. How many different places do I need to come up with things? Like, let's say that, tomorrow I created a Zachariah show, and that was, the title of my thing, right? I would need to go to Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, Discord. There's like 75 different things. So there's whichever way you consume your content, you can find this ESPN 700. Again, make sure you subscribe and make sure that you like and all that good stuff. But the polls from yesterday, before we get to James, and we were shocked by this to close the show. It's changed a little bit, but there's still a 0%. I can't remember a poll where there's 4 options, and yesterday we had 2 zeros. It's basically still 2 zeros now. But the question was, and this is, again, almost 100 votes. We are officially 1 week away from Utah Utes football. What is your game day tradition? Now, at 70%, it's go to the game. A lot of the people, I mean, I guess that makes sense. A lot of the people that listen are diehard fans, so they're probably going to the game. I get that. Watch at home or somebody else's house comes in second at 30%. I get that too. If you don't have season tickets or, like you don't, let's say you go to a couple of games, but you don't go to all of them, it's going to be your game day tradition. So you watch it at either a friend's house or your house. I get that at 30%. But local establishment, which was 0% when we closed yesterday, James, it's still only at 2%. And then other is at 0%. So I'm pretty shocked by that. But that closes out that poll from yesterday. And then again, as I said, we are 6 days away now from college football. We are 13 days away from NFL football. And so I wanted to get a pulse. James told me that the dang signal for ESPN 700 all across, up and down, north and south, east and west of Utah. So I'm not just going to say people from Salt Lake. I'm going to say all of Utah. Who's your NFL squad? From what I had been told, it was either the Niners, Raiders, the Broncos. So I put it up there. And then other was the 4th option. I'm surprised that other came in that dominant. Almost 50% of the vote was other. I'm not going to read off all the teams because I'm pretty sure I saw all 32. But out of the 3 that I mentioned, 9 was, which I guess makes sense. They've had the most amount of success over time, and they're not that far in proximity. I heard Spence talk about how a lot of people in Utah are going to be season ticket holders for the Raiders because it's only a 3.5-hour drive, and who needs an excuse to go to Vegas? They actually been third at 11%. And then sticking with the Rocky Mountain theme, the Broncos came in at 18%. And I think they're going to have an interesting year with Peyton finally getting what he wants there. So those are the polls from yesterday to close those out. And then now the first one that I want to do for today, and you can, again, on Twitter at ESPN 700, I'm at Zach Sports, ZAK Sports. You can vote on this poll because I'm curious. I was doing my due diligence, doing my show research, if you will, looking into things. What angle can I? This will really be the last, James. This will be the last. And I'm not going to call it difficult because I shine the brightest when it's the hardest. Give me dog days of summer. I see meat on the bone, James. You give me nothing to talk about, and you see how much I can talk. That's what I was born to do.
Let's go. We're here for the challenge, Zachariah. Don't make it easy for us. We get bored with easy.
You got your Red Sox jersey on, hat to match, weekends coming up. Don't give me dog days of summer. I see meat on the bone. So anyways, I was doing my research going, what the hell am I talking about? Because I can talk. Again, even if I didn't have a microphone, I'd still just be talking to anybody. Even if it wasn't broadcast, I'd be talking to my cat or my dog or my fish or whatever. But I'm looking at it and I'm going, man, there are a lot of different choices for who's going to win the Big 12. And when I grabbed the mic at the sales party on Tuesday, again, shout out to all the salespeople, President Steve, all the former athletes that came, all the listeners that came, the cheerleader, the mascot was in the house. What's my guy's name again, James? What's the mascot of the Utes name? I forgot. Swoop. I got a picture with him. I forgot.
Swoop.
Huh? Swoop. Yeah, you should be able to remember that. Swoop. So, yeah, anyways, shout out to everybody that came out and made a great event. But when I came on the mic, it was kind of like a fart in the wind because everybody had already spoken and everybody else was eating. But I grabbed the mic and I was like, you know what? I went Rodney Dangerfield. And we need to add that to my folder. I'm gonna do a bunch of sound stuff today too. So when I want to drop every once in a while, I'll get it. But I went Rodney Dangerfield, and I said, even though people are expecting this to be a great year and we're getting a little love nationally, I say we now, like I'm a Ute, like I'm on the squad.
Oh, you're a we guy now. You've adopted him. You're saying, Cal, I don't care about you anymore, Bears. I'm done.
Well, they're not in the They're in the same conference anymore. And yes, I mean, OC's lovely daughter picked out a shirt for me. I got a freaking Salt Lake Goals AAA behind me. So yeah, I slipped a wee in there. But I still say not enough respect. And I say that because when I did and we're talking about reputable websites that I went to, not just your run-of-the-mill, whatever. Let's say FSU, or no, not FSU, SCU blog, or, Baylor blog, or whatever random team in the Big 12. I'm talking national, Sports Illustrated, and USA Today. And you know what I saw that was shocking, James, is that I saw a ton of different options. It wasn't just Utah, Oklahoma State, Utah, Kansas State, Kansas, Utah. I mean, it wasn't like I saw everything. I saw so many different teams when I thought it was going to either be, but to me, and this is what I'm going to vote. And again, you can vote, because the whole question is this: who is the biggest threat to the Utes in the Big 12? And from what I could gather, I put up what I saw to be the unanimous choices if it wasn't going to be Utah. And a lot of these teams, Utah's not going to play. But the options are
from
Kansas,
the Utah 49, first
West
down
Virginia, Oklahoma State, and then since you can only do 4 options, I put Kansas State, Arizona as an option. So maybe that'll get more of the votes, James, just because there's 2 options there. But I put them there because I thought that they were 4th and 5th place. So I just kind of combined them rather than just having one team and them not getting much of the vote. Figure if I throw another hat in the ring there, that maybe 2 of them will get more of a vote. But anyways, those are your options.
So I actually, on the actual poll that we posted, I went a little rogue and went and got even trickier to try to get some more engagement. Yeah, we play these games here at ESPN 700. Don't worry about it, guys. So instead of West Virginia / Arizona, I put Kansas State, Oklahoma State, Kansas, and I put other, please comment. Thinking we're going to get a lot of people commenting that we have commenting Arizona, because lots of people, myself included, see Arizona with Noah Fafita and company as big threats to Utah in this conference. Zachariah, now, I don't think you think of it that way. I don't think you think of Arizona that way, but lots of other people do. So I'm thinking we'll get lots of engagement there, lots of comments, people doing write-in comments for Arizona and Noah Fafita and company. I think we lost it, Zachariah, actually, as I'm explaining how I kind of adjusted the poll question a little bit here and the poll choices. We'll get him back on here in a minute. The other poll we put up is Utah in the mix for Utah is in the mix for 5-star wide receiver from Corner Canyon, Jerome Miles. And what a night he had last night against IMG Academy, right? They are competing with perennial powers, Ohio State, Georgia, and others for his services. So Zachariah is asking, can Utah compete with the national powers for recruits? And your choices are yes, absolutely, no, but they're close, or no, and they never will. It's a somewhat close poll so far, but only been up for a few minutes now. So we'll update that later in the show. This is the Sean O'Connell Show. Zachariah is supposed to be with us, but I think we must have had an issue with an internet connection or something, because he's dropped off here. So you got James Peterson here in your opening segment of the Sean O'Connell Show. Guest list today, we're going to have the voice of the Utes, Bill Riley, at 11:30. So coming up about 15 minutes from now here on ESPN 700, 92.1 FM, also live on YouTube. And we have Zachariah back with us. He dropped off there. Zachariah, you leave me alone on an island here explaining poll questions, but we got through it for the last few minutes here.
Okay, good.
Apologies for the technical difficulties on the stream and things like that, but I just explained both poll questions, Zachariah.
Okay, all right, perfect.
Because I put up the Jerome Miles one as well. choices there again. The question is, can Utah compete with the national powers for recruits? Yes, absolutely. No, but they're close. No, and they never will. So far, yes, absolutely is winning, but it's pretty close so far, Zachariah. I think it'll end up being a pretty close vote. But knowing our market, of course, I think yes is definitely going to win because people are optimistic, right?
Yeah. Well, and also we had C live from Chocolate City out there in Washington, D.C. He put up a poll also asking what exactly would do to get a 5-star recruit. And I believe his options, I'm going to retweet it as soon as I get a second, but I believe his options were whatever it takes, $1,500,000. And then I think the fourth option was $0 until he does something for the University of Utah. So if the station can repost that, because it's an interesting thing. And again, I do want to get into who exactly will be the teams that are going to be the biggest competition for the Utes. Now, again, people have talked about how favorable the schedule is for Utah. Obviously, it's not going to be a cakewalk. A lot of these games are going to be difficult. And we talked about it a little bit where week 4 is the big one that we're all looking at. And then OC is also saying do not sleep on week 5 because you have that big week 4 game or lose. You could be drained coming back and playing an Arizona team that I know that you and OC are way more concerned about than I am. But it's not going to be an easy road, but the options that are on the poll are not – there's not a lot of teams that you're going to be playing. So for the most part, it could not even matter who the teams that are going to be competing. But at some point, you're going to have to face them, whether it's, it could be the Big 12 championship, not just the regular season. We'll see how that all plays out. But I do want to get into those different teams. So, people are making a very strong case for Kansas. There are people, of course, have been making a case for Utah, but also for Kansas State and also for Arizona. But going back to that second poll question is last night, and OC very rarely texts me as much as he pretends to love me and pretends to hate me. It's more hate than it's love. So even getting a response from him, even though I'm filling in on his show, is hard to come by. But he texted me last night about this fantastic, huge win for Corner Canyon over what OC called, let me pull up the text. He called them he said basically an NFL factory. And I was like, well, I'll definitely bring it up. So I looked more and more into it. And obviously, it was a huge deal. So this is OC's text. He said, the Utah Powerhouse High School Corner Canyon beat IMG Academy tonight. IMG is like damn near a college team. Crazy. Darn near. OC would never say damn.
Yeah,
that's just something that
curse.
holds up water.
How dare you?
Well, I mean, a dam just holds up water. But anyways, but that was his point. They hold up so many teams, James.
Yeah, there you go. It all connects.
Yeah. So I looked into it, and it looked like it was a fantastic game. Big, what's on the head coach of IMG Academy for going for it too. It was a back and forth game. Corner Canyon was down 24-18, I believe, at halftime, and then they came back to win 35-34. Now IMG tied it up at they went down by 1, 35-34. They kicked the extra point and tied it up at 35, but went for 2. And Corner Canyon was able to stop them. And why should you care much about high school football? Well, first of all, to be fair, Corner Canyon is in Utah, and you don't have a pro team. So after the Utes and BYU and the other college teams, high school Utah football's got to be up there. But most importantly, we're talking about Jerome Miles, James, and we're talking about a time recruit that is narrowing it down to a lot of schools. And this is why I thought the poll would be very much relevant. He's narrowed it down to Utah is in the mix, but it's kind of one of those things, and I don't want to draw the ire from Utah Utes listeners or fans out there because I am certainly not trying to ruffle feathers. I have been the biggest cheerleader for Utah Utes football. I've been the one not trying to hold back like OC is, or not trying. I've been the one pushing forward. I've been encouraging, popping your feathers out.
Get the hype train going.
Yeah.
OC's saying everyone
field on. No
OC's
respect.
trying to say, hey, pump the brakes a little bit. It may not be as good as you think it will be. Trying to prepare people for inevitable disappointment, whatever it might be. Zachariah, and I'm with you too. We're sitting here going, there's no reason not to be stoked about this team. No reason not to hype this team up.
Yeah, and James, I can put it like this. Give me a reason to not be hyped and not to pop my feathers out, pop my collar and all that good stuff and be strutting around and hit you with Rodney Dangerfield, no respect. Give me a reason to not do that, because I can give you plenty of reasons why I am doing that. So I'll be doing that for a bunch of reasons, and only part of that is their easy schedule. But the return of Cam Rising, arguably the greatest wide receiver room Utah has ever seen. Tight ends up the yang. A little bit of flack they're getting in terms of the running back room, but I'm not worried about it. Even if they don't have a bell cow back, they have enough great talent in that room. Hell, this is probably a minority opinion, James. I damn near don't even want one guy to emerge. I like it when you're hitting people with 5 different guys, or 3, 4 different guys in a game, because they're always fresh. And yes, you do want ultimately, I do think you would want one guy to emerge, but I have no problem if that doesn't happen. And all I talked about right there, James, was the offensive side of the ball. And what is Utah known for? Defense. So if Kyle Whittingham is telling me that they're 7 deep when it comes to the pass rush, I'm going to believe Kyle Whittingham. The linebackers, you have guys that are on the Dick Butkus Award, and that doesn't even bring up my favorite position group of the defense, which is the defensive backfield. So you can go ahead, but you're going to have to show me or tell me why I shouldn't be excited, because I can give you a bunch of reasons why I am. But back to this guy, and I'm gonna list the names off. The names you could look at and go, is one of these teams not like the other? I wouldn't say that. I'm saying that people could say that. But I think rather than look at it negative, like, oh, Utah kind of stands out in this group being a team that you wouldn't think being named, I'm saying, well, maybe Utah, I almost went we again, maybe Utah is putting themselves to where they are in this conversation. But this is what he said he's going to announce on October 30th. OC made it sound like there was less teams when we did the show, so I don't know if this has been updated since. But from what I read, he's going to make his decision known October 30th. And the teams are Georgia, who I'm terrified of. They might as well be in the NFL. Ohio State, Texas A&M, USC, and Utah. And the way I see it, and the way that I would vote on the poll, and I'll take a look at it, but I still feel a little bit of separation from Georgia and Ohio State, and I'm hoping that as the years go by, it continues to close the gap. But Texas A&M and USC, why the hell not would Utah not be in that conversation? And if Jerome Miles makes the decision to go to Utah, and he's got a teammate on the team currently, that obviously helps the recruiting factor. But nobody will know that nationwide, James. If Jerome Miles comes out and says, you know what, I'm going to Utah, no one's going to go, oh, does he have a buddy that's on the team that he used to play with and they went to the same school? Or like what's it? All they're going to be is, damn, Utah got that guy over Georgia and Ohio State? He chose Utah? Guess who that rings true to? All the other recruits. It's a game. It's a game of chess. It's a game of chess, James, not checkers. And what will happen there is people will see that, and then all of a sudden, better players means more success. That's why I think this year is very important for the Utes. It's very important because they have no reason not to have a clear path to win the Big 12 and get a bye, and then boom, bomb, bing, you are on the national stage. You have a bye in the playoffs, and then you're in a big-time team. It's going to be important to, if you don't win the game, fingers crossed, at least make it very competitive, and then you are actually up there. All of a sudden, it's not because you have a connection that you're in that list of 5-star recruit destinations. So, anyways, we will get to all those polls. We got a whole bunch to do today. We got some great guests, including the one that's going to be joining us. How does he feel about this? What are his thoughts on a 5-star recruit, narrowing it down to about 5 teams, all of which are major powerhouses, and the Utes are in there? Have they officially put themselves further on the national landscape? We'll talk about that with him and much, much more. If you want to join in on the program, you can call 888-353-0700. You can also text in there on the Dish Pros text line. And the 2 questions that we have, we're officially a week away from Utes football. I'm sorry, that was the game day tradition. Well, I could still say we're officially a week away. Who is the biggest threat to the Utes in the Big 12? And then, of course, OC put up a poll saying, you know, what would you do to get a 5-star recruit? Anything? $1 million, $500,000, nothing until they prove something. And then also, where exactly are the Utes? Are now officially in the discussion with the major teams with 5-star recruits? Are they getting there but not quite there yet? Will they never get there or other? I'll give the exact options that you have. But again, you can vote on Twitter at ESPN 700. I'm at Sports, ZAK Sports. Coming up next, voice of the Utes. You know him well. I saw him at the sales party, James, but I didn't get a chance to talk to him. A lot of things moving around, but I will talk to him about just how fired up he was for the party, how fired up he is for the season, and just what he makes of this whole who's the biggest threat in the Big 12, and also where exactly are the Utes when it comes to recruiting. We'll do all of that next. You're listening to the Sean O'Connell Show. Zach Rye filling in here on a Friday, ESPN 700.
So 1st and 10 Utah at the SC 25. 8.5 to play in the ball game. Tavion Thomas back in here for Utah. Handoff, Tavion straight ahead into the pile. 2 hands wrapped around it to the 19-yard line for a gain of 6. He's got big arms. When he puts both of them around the ball, it's going to be hard to get it out. Jacob Lichtenstein with the tackle there for USC. 6-yard gain.
Yeah. And a nice gain there on 1st down. And again, I like just the quarterback keeper score a touchdown right here. Because USC, they're going to sell out to the run.
4th trip into the University Credit Union red zone tonight for Utah. At the 19-yard line, 2nd down and 4. Utes taking their time, a lot of time here. 8 on the play clock, 7 on the play clock. They're not going to get this thing off, I don't think. Here they go, hurrying to the line, 5 on the play clock. Rising turns and play action rolls to his right, dumps it off in the flat. That ball is caught, and then out of bounds goes Mekhi Bernard with 1st down yardage to the USC 10-yard line. That's going to be 1st down and goal.
That's almost a bootleg.
That gives you the option.
Yeah.
Gives you the option. 1st and goal, Utah at the USC 10.
Great
Wouldn't
job.
you love to see him stick another one in here on the Trojans, Scott?
I was just saying, 40-ish points sounds so much better against USC than 35. Lost so many times here that you just want to enjoy and relish the moment.
Bernard in the ball game. Spread the field with 4 wides from the 10-yard line, 1st down and goal. Option play outside Bernard, 10. Mekhi Bernard, 5, and down to the 3-yard line. Great little run of the option by Cam Rising. That's not his bag, but he did it well that time. 7 yards to the 3-yard line, 2nd down and goal.
Yeah, a lot of times coaches will just run that to the player's natural side, so it's his right arm. Make sure he gets a good pitch. He does.
Good run by Bernard, the Long Beach native who's got friends and family here tonight. Tavion Thomas back in the ball game. 2nd and goal from the 3. Rising under center. Brings a man in motion to the near sideline. Turns and gives. Thomas. Goal line. Stopped at the 1. 3rd down and goal coming up at the 1-yard line. Tavion Thomas reached and got spun backwards.
Yeah,
so 3rd down and goal at the 1.
Not sure how that happened, because I'm telling you, that offensive line surged. I mean, they were just mowing over that USC front.
I have no doubt this is 4-down territory for Utah. They're not going to kick a field goal here. They're going to stick it in and give it a 99-yard field.
Yeah. Well, you try to kick the field goal, it gives them a chance to block it.
Here we go. Joe Ludwig, the fullback, rising. Under center. Turns, play action, throws, end zone, caught, touchdown! Dalton Kincaid! And Utah has eclipsed 40 points at the Coliseum tonight. Kincaid from Rising, a 1-yard touchdown pass. And with 5:34 to play, Utah's going to do something tonight they've never done before. That's win here in the LA Memorial Coliseum. What a great call.
Yeah, I loved it. Again, it's just, you know they're going to sell out to it, and you just have the confidence to call an aggressive play.
PAT, Jordan Noyes up and good. That Pepsi touchdown brought to you by our friends at Pepsi, the official soft drink of Utah Athletics. Soak this one in for just a minute, Utah fans. Utah 42 and USC 18. Back inside the LA Memorial Coliseum. Utah 42, USC 18. 7 plays, 45 yards, 4.5 off the play clock. That was ideal, Scott. You took.
You're tuned to the Sean O'Connell Show from the Murdoch Chevrolet studio of ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM.
Mike time.
Welcome back to the program. It is ESPN 700, the Sean O'Connell Show. Zachariah filling in. Coming up, 10:45. Fun in the 40s. We go around the, excuse me. We need to work on a cough button over here, Jay. Add that to the list of technological difficulties. Need a cough button over here. We will go around the wacky world of sports. I call it Fun in the 40s. We'll do that at 10:45. But right now, it is a pleasure to be joined by Bill Riley. You know him. How could you not? He is the voice of pretty much everything. Got a shiny new job over there at the University of Utah. I saw you, Bill. First of all, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I saw you at the sales party, but we didn't get a chance to chat. You were in. You blessed us with your microphone introduction, get everybody hyped, and then you were out. I didn't even get a chance to run you down.
I know. I apologize. The new job keeps me kind of running around a little bit, but it was good to be down there, and we had a great crowd down there. I didn't even realize you were going to be in town, so it was great.
Yeah, no, and you gave me a shout out. I appreciate that. And then I grabbed the mic a little bit later, but everybody was eating. Yeah, I mean, how did that party? Obviously, it wasn't unlimited. There's only so much space that you can have within the studio. But how does that echo kind of what you've seen around town? Because I was able to take in a Salt Lake Bees AAA baseball game. I was able to walk around the town a little bit and just driving with OC to and from the studio and to the airport, because I came in on Monday and left on Wednesday. But what's the vibe that you're getting around of town? Because I'm seeing a lot of Utes gear, Bill. Well,
I mean, this is a Utah town. I've said that for a long, long time. Utah, ever since they joined the Pac-12 conference and now into the Big 12 conference, their stock has just risen and risen and risen. And, you make a case that depending on the time of year and depending on how teams are playing, the Utah brand and the Utah football brand might be the best in the state. Now, we know when the Jazz are flying high and playing well, they're the great uniter that brings all the collegiate fan bases together. But the Jazz are pretty bad right now. So people are glomming onto what they have, the new hockey team. But Utah football this fall, that's the shiny toy that everybody's going to be looking at, because they're picked to win the conference. They're picked to potentially be a playoff team. You win your conference, you're going to be a playoff team. They're anywhere from about 9 to 13 in most people's preseason polls, which I think is right. And they're going to be good, Zachariah. I mean, not only are they going to be good, and Sean talked to Cam yesterday on the show, but and Cam kind of echoed what I've been saying. I just think they're going to be a fun team to watch, especially offensively, because you've got a trigger man in Rising, but you've got so many offensive weapons. Traditionally, Utah's been a kind of a 50-50, 55-45, run the football, grind it out, and they still will, and they'll still be physical as hell along the line of scrimmage. but I think they're going to throw it this year. I mean, you'd be silly with the weaponry they've got and an experienced quarterback who can spin it, not to put the ball down the field, which we know fans love it. We're not in a day and age of 3 yards in a cloud of dust anymore. Fans like to see aggressive defense, and they want to see their quarterback spin it. So I think it's going to be a fun year.
Yeah, absolutely. And to that point, I've seen a little bit more disrespect than just 15, Bill. And you don't strike me as the guy that would be watching, what is his name? Mike the Mad Dog Russo on ESPN. But I saw him as I was getting ready. I wasn't paying much attention, but anytime I hear Big 12 or you or whatever, here's perk up. Now, he listed his 12 playoff teams, and he didn't even list a Big 12 team, Bill. He just listed Big 12 winner, which to me, and look, I get it. The two big conferences are the Big 10 and the SEC, and the Big 12 going to get as much love. But to not even name a team and to just put Big 12 winner, to me, was a little bit of a slap in the face. But when you look at the conference, and obviously you actually talked about this at the sales party, Bill. You talked about how their schedule is favorable. So
yeah.
A lot of teams, they're not actually going to play. But on the poll, we have Kansas State, Oklahoma State, Kansas, and then I've seen others, West Virginia. There's been some other teams. But if it were not to, and we're knocking on wood, we're not assuming this, we're not putting that bad energy out in the world, Bill. But if the Utes were not the Big 12, who would be your favorite to be the winner?
Kansas State. I think there's a separation between Utah and Kansas State. I think they're clearly on paper, and they've also got two coaches with great pedigree. Chris Kleiman won, I think, 4 or 5 national championships at the 1AA level when he coached in the Dakotas. I always get the Dakota schools mixed up. North Dakota State, South. They all play good football up there, but Kleiman is a hell of a coach. And he stepped in a short time at Kansas State and kept that level that Bill Snyder built that program at. And then you got Kyle Whittingham. Kyle won, he's built this thing. He's assumed by most to be a top 5 or 6 coach in the country. He won back-to-back conference championships. Would have had a chance at a three-peat last year if Cam stays healthy. But I just think those two with the talent on the rosters and the coaching have the best chance in my mind to win the league. Back to Russo for just a minute. Chris Russo is a great broadcaster and a great entertainer. But anybody that lives in the Northeast, I don't give a rip about what they say about college football. College football doesn't exist. Once you get north of about West Virginia, nobody gives a rip about college football, including the media. You want to talk baseball with Chris Russo, he'll talk all day. You want to talk NFL with Chris Russo, he's great. Chris Russo couldn't name 5 guys on in the Big 12 period, much less on the Utah roster. So what Mad Dog says, I don't really care, but I have a great deal of respect for him. But he's in the media, like Stephen A. Smith. I don't want to hear him talking. All he knows is Nick Saban in Alabama. I live and breathe college football. I love it, but I'm not going to go to those guys for my hot takes on the playoff.
Yeah, talking with the great Bill Riley here, ESPN 700, Sean O'Connell Show, Zachariah filling in. And you can't really blame him, Bill, because even me at my age, I find myself to be asleep at 10 p.m., okay? I'm only 40. These guys are much north of that, so you can't really blame them when these games are kicking off 10 o'clock there. I mean, you can. It's their job. They should be educated. But you can see why they have a bit of a West Coast bias, and that's definitely built in. But I want to ask you this, and in this profession, Bill, you're not supposed to ask, and welcome to the YouTube feed. Say hello, Bill, everybody. Subscribe and rate and all that good stuff. You're still all over the page because the last time we did it, obviously, it was your show doing it. But I want to do a 2-part question, which you're not supposed to do in this business, but it kind of makes sense. And it's all about Jerome Miles. Now, OC put out, what would you do, bring him in? And his answers were essentially whatever it costs, $1 million, $500,000, or $0 until he produces at the U. And then my question is, with them in the mix for Jerome Miles, a 5-star recruit, and I know we're making a big deal about it, but forgive me, Bill, Corner Canyon had a big win over.
And he was great last night. He was fantastic.
That one-handed catch. So of those 2 questions, number 1, what would you do to him in? Does it not matter the cost, $1 million, $500,000, or nothing until it proves something? And then in terms of Can Utah compete with the national power? Because the names that they're up there with are Ohio State and Georgia. Yes, absolutely. No, but they're close. No, and they never will. What are your answers to those two?
When you say compete, are you talking about NIL compete or on the field compete?
Just no. I mean, in terms of bringing in big time recruits, how close are they to being here with everybody?
We know this. There's always going to be a different level. Utah's secret sauce over the years has been, and it's not going to change when Kyle Whittingham leaves because Morgan Scalley's been part of this. Their secret sauce has always been finding players that fit their system, and they develop players. I think Utah and Wisconsin annually are produced. They're rated as the best programs at finding talent and producing it. I'm not a big fan of the star system because star systems are very subjective, and high school football is very imbalanced, although games like last night give you good glimpses at what some of these kids can do. To me, USC is a great example of this. They've recruited 5-star kids from the beginning of time. What if Utah won more conference championships recruiting fewer 5-stars in the Pac-12 era, twice as many as USC did? See, to me, you need to get good players, don't get me wrong. But I don't think it has to be that 5-star kid. You have to find those kids that have that great athleticism that fit your system and develop. So on the recruiting front, Utah's never going to pull in the same number of those quote-unquote 5-star kids that say Oregon and Ohio State and maybe Georgia or LSU does. But what they do well is develop. As long as they're able to continue to maintain and develop that talent. And again, as long as there isn't major change, again, it's whenever that change of guard comes, whenever Kyle steps aside, if Morgan keeps that same continuity, which I think he will, Utah's going to be able to do that. And Scalley's been one of the guys that's been able to do that because he's been one of the lead recruiters for years. Now to Jerome Miles, I don't know what everybody's got a budget. Nobody has that unlimited pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. You know, there's nobody that has that. I think you do everything you possibly can to bring that kid in. And I don't know what the NIL budget is. And I don't know what Jerome Miles is looking for. You know, some of these kids, you know, if the money's comparable or even close, you're going to go where you feel most comfortable. You know, if it's a difference between, it's crazy for me to say this, $100,000 or whatever that might happen to be, maybe you go to the place where you're a little bit more comfortable rather than taking more money. But I do know, talking to people, that Jerome Miles has great interest in Utah. And I think a good year this year, I think he's making his decision in October. And I never try to guess what 18-year-old kids are going to do on sign. I don't know if parents know. Sometimes they don't know when they sit down at that table and put the hat on. But I think Utah, based on some of the conversations I've had, I think Utah's put itself in a really good position for Jerome Miles. And it also doesn't hurt, too, that the guy that threw him touchdowns a year ago is likely to be the starting quarterback next year. Not guaranteed, but Isaac Wilson is in line to be that. 2 or 3 of his other Corner Canyon teammates are at the University of Utah now. And so, and again, you have the advantage of being in his backyard. You know, Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss have to hop on a plane and fly here. Kyle Whittingham can hop on his Harley and cruise down to Draper if he needs to and say hi to Jerome if he wants to. There's an inherent advantage there. So I would do everything I can because that kid looks special.
I want to get you out here on this. Something stuck with me when you were speaking at the sales party, and you said something along the lines of they can out of September. I want to ask you, do you like the way that it stacks up playing Southern Utah, Baylor, and Utah State prior to playing OSU? Would you rather have some other teams that you think are more in the middle leading up to the OSU game? How do you feel about where that big OSU game on the road falls when it comes to the Ute schedule?
Oh, I like it. You know, I like, if you're going to play a 1AA opponent, I like playing them in the first game. You know, I like you knock the rust off because, you know, there's no preseason games in college football. They don't have them. So you don't get to knock the rust off like you do in the NFL. So if you're going to play a 1AA, play them in that first game. Get everybody some series, some touches, put some points up, get out of that game unhurt, but you've knocked the rust off. You've had a real game experience. Then you bring a Baylor team into town it's a non-conference game this year. It'll be a conference game moving forward. You know, you're at home again, but you've stepped up your level of competition. Now, it's not maybe quite to the level of an Arizona or an Oklahoma State, but Baylor's a good team. Then you have a pseudo road game. It's not a true road game because you're staying in the state of Utah, but you still have to stay at the hotel and get on a bus and drive up to Logan, and you play Utah State. So I like having those 3 games, 2 of the 3 at home, all 3 in the state of Utah, and then you've tested yourself a little bit, and then you go on the road to play Oklahoma State. So, yeah, I don't mind the way that schedule sets up because you've got 3 in your back pocket already. And then, as I mentioned at that sales meeting that you were referencing, and people know the schedule, to me, that's the toughest stretch of the Utah schedule, that back-to-back Oklahoma State and Stillwater, and then Arizona at home, 2 good programs, especially Oklahoma State. If you get out of September, again, there's no guarantees here, but if you get out of September 5-0, you have to feel really, really good about that if you're the University of Utah.
Well, I spoke with Nate yesterday. I didn't realize that he had a tailgate party right outside of Advanced Window Products, but he had his jersey in the background. I didn't get a chance to ask him about that. We're just starting this or rebooting the YouTube Live, so I didn't get a chance to ask him about it, but I've definitely got to check out the Advanced Window Products tailgate next time that I'm out there for a game. But tell people about Advanced Window Products.
Well, folks know, and I've talked about him for a couple of years now. It's Nate Orchard. Everybody knows Nate from his playing days, the mayor of Sac Lake City, Jake Weber, Janitha Benson, Dave Orchard, that entire crew. This is a company that is locally owned and operated. They've been doing windows and doors and the products that go with them for over 36 years here. And when you order your windows and doors, they're not subcontracting it out to Indonesia or something like that. Everything's made in town. So you can keep track of it. It's generally about 8 weeks from the time they come out and measure your house out for the windows to the time they install them. You can check on them as they go. They back it up 100%. They've got a football summer special going on right now. I know they've told you guys this. 10 windows or more, $2,500 off, but they're just good people. That's the thing you want in this day and age, and you probably know this, Zachariah. Anywhere you go, it doesn't matter if you're going to get a coffee or if you're buying a car or a house or windows. I think what people crave more than anything else is customer service.
Yeah.
And customer service has gone by the wayside, but not at Advanced Window Products. They treat you like gold there. And again, it's people you know that are from this community. So if anybody needs it, it's advancedwindows.com or advancedwindowsusa.com. Give them a call, have them come out, give you an estimate on your house. And maybe if you get measured now, you can get those windows in before it kind of starts turning cold at Advanced Window Products.
Well, I'm going to give you a warning, Bill. Next time we talk, it might be me bumping your play-by-play booth. If I go to a game, I'm going to try to get a media credential. I'm going to sneak in there. I'm going to wait for the door to open, and then right where it closes, I'm going to stick my foot in there, and then I'm going to come bother you.
I've got a bouncer, by the way. I've got a bouncer. We have velvet ropes.
Really?
We've got a bouncer and velvet ropes outside the broadcast booth.
To keep the riffraff out? I see what you're doing. All right. Thank you, Bill.
Keep that Bay Area riffraff out.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Have a great call next week, and happy dang near opening day.
Hey, we've got college football tomorrow, Zachariah. That's a good thing.
Yep, absolutely. Yep, week 0. All right, the great Bill Riley. Thank you, sir. We appreciate that. Yeah, man, the season's here. I mean, might not be here, but it's dang near here. And as James told me yesterday, do not ignore week 0 because we've got you locked and loaded. Who are we playing again, James? Who do we got this weekend? I know we're airing a week 0 game.
Yeah, we've got SMU, Nevada tomorrow afternoon into the evening.
Yeah, mountain time, baby. You know how we roll. Yeah, I don't want to put words in Bill's names, but I believe that his answer to the poll might have been no and never will be. I mean, sort of about he didn't make it sound like a bad thing, but he said that Utah finds players that fit their system and that they might not ever be on the platform of the names that, Miles has narrowed it down to.
Yeah, it was interesting. It was interesting to hear him say that Ohio State and Georgia, for example, and even USC and other schools like that will always be at another level. Now, we did have a pretty good comment on the Twitter poll where someone said, yes, we will absolutely be in the running for local will be able to compete with national powers for local 5-star recruits, local 4-star recruits.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's a pretty good caveat there. That's a pretty good qualifier to say if they're in state, then absolutely they can compete with the Ohio States and the Georgias. But the guys from California that have USC on their list, or the guys from Ohio that have Ohio State on their list, maybe it's a no and never will be in that case. I love the comment from our guy on Twitter saying, yes, if they're in state, bring it on Ohio State, bring it on Georgia. If not, maybe Utah won't ever be in that league. I think that's a pretty good thought.
See, I tend to disagree with that notion, and I'll talk about it more in the 12 o'clock hour. But I don't see any reason why they can't get to that. And a lot of that is dependent on what big-time recruits, what decisions they make, how Utah fares. So we'll get into that more at the top of the hour. But coming up next, you know how we roll, James. It's fun in the 40s. Time to go around the wacky world of sports. Some interesting comments from number 1 overall draft pick Caleb Williams. And then I got to take a second to troll you, James. I know you're a Colts fan. Anthony Richardson got the brunt of the Bengals defense. I will read you the quotes, much more. World of sports. We got the polls up, people. Go check them up. Go check them out. I am at Zach Sports, ZAK Sports, and the station is at ESPN 100. We'll give some of the early results to that as well as the top of the hour. But coming up next, fun in the 40s. Go around the wacky world of sports. We'll do it next. It is the Sean O'Connell Zach filling in right here, ESPN 700.
First and 10 from their own 5-yard line here is USC. Backpedaling into his end zone to pass. Slovis looking down the field, still looking down the field, throwing incomplete, trying to get that ball to Bryant. Good coverage here by Clark Phillips on the near sideline.
Tell you what, Clark Phillips has had a pretty darn good game.
Boy, hasn't he?
I mean, he did probably about as good as you could on Drake London tonight.
Drake London not in the ball game. His night appears to be done. Second down and 10 from their own 5-yard line for the USC Trojans. 5:23 to play here. Utah 42-18. Here's pressure, and he just throws it away because Mika Tafua again was right in his face. Mika's gotten home once tonight with a sack, but he's been awfully close a couple of other times. Actually, I'll check that. That was Kareni Reed, the linebacker coming on a blitz, and almost got him that time.
Yeah, and again, he becomes a very average player. You get that pressure on him. I mean, Utah's done a decent job of it. Thought they might get more, but it's enough to have a great performance by this defense.
SC 5 of 12 on third down. They face a 3rd and 10 here from their own 5-yard line. Utah showing pressure right up the middle. Here they come. Slovis backpedals into his end zone. Pressure in his face, throws down the middle. Incomplete. It was nearly intercepted on the play by Vontae Davis. Went off his hands, incomplete. That'll bring up 4th and 10. They were trying to get that ball to Michael Epps, who's a big target. He went out earlier after he got a helmet right on the knee on a pass play. They bring the punt team on here, 4th and 10. And Ben Griffiths will punt for the back of his own end zone. Britton Covey hasn't had a chance to return a punt here yet tonight. He stands at his own 45-yard line.
I mean, there's 5 minutes left. Plenty of time for another score.
I wouldn't be opposed to that. Here's Griffiths unloading the punt. It's a high spiraling kick. Covey backpedals over his shoulder, lets it hit, takes it, picks it up, juggles it, and goes out of bounds at the 26-yard line. I thought Britton might be able to catch that ball, but I don't think he wanted to take a chance on it, so he let it go. And Utah will have it 1st and 10 at their own 25. 5:02 to play in the ball game. Do we see Jaquindon Jackson? Nope, Cam Rising going to come back out here again. Going to see some of the backups, though. Backup tight end, Thomas Yasmin in. Backup fullback, Ali Niamatalolo. It's kind of a hybrid, Niamatalolo. A little H-back, a little tight end, a little fullback sometimes. Tavion Thomas will be the back. 5:02 to play. Utah 42, USC 18. Our second half being brought to you by University of Utah Health. Trusted health care provider for the Utes and you. Rising under center. Turns and gives. Tavion Thomas. Second level, Tavion. 35 and rumbles out to the 38-yard line for a gain of 13 yards. And Tavion Thomas now over 100 yards. 13 carries for 106 yards for Tavion Thomas.
Yeah, that was close to get him broke for another touchdown or a long run. That'd be a long way for Tavion to run for a score. But
second 100-yard game of the year for him, Scott. He had 107 in that game earlier this year. Against Weber State, 2 touchdowns in that game, too. He's got 1 here tonight. First and 10 Utah from their own 37, 38-yard line. Turn and a give. That time USC was standing and waiting on Tavion Thomas. And they'll drop him right at the line of scrimmage. They'll give him that line of scrimmage. Second down and 10 coming up as we dip under 4 minutes to play in the ball game. Utah's going to improve now to 2-0 in Pac-12 play. And 3-2 overall. And they've got a huge game next week, Scott. Arizona State, who's 3-0 in Pac-12 play, comes to Salt Lake City.
Yeah, big game. And of course, this was going to be a big stretch for Utah playing here and then ASU. And they've certainly taken care of business here. It'll be a fun, electric, exciting atmosphere.
You're listening to the Sean O'Connell Show, brought to you by Les Schwab Tires. Now back to OC on ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM.
Not quite OC, but the next best thing. Some would say the best thing, and he's the best thing. I guess that depends on who you ask, isn't it? But it is the Sean O'Connell Show. It's his boy Zachariah filling in as he is in Chocolate City, our nation's capital, calling fights for the PFL. Coming up top of the hour, we will reset all of this. And we want to hear from you on the Dish Pros text line, 877-353-0700. You can call or text in there, 877-353-0700. On Twitter, at ESPN 700. Got a couple of polls. I've retweeted them at Zach Sports, ZK Sports. A lot of good topics to get into. Biggest competition. If the Utes do not win the Big 12, don't want to put that out into existence, but should it happen, would be the team that does win it. Also, where are the Utes when it comes to recruiting? Right up there with the big dogs. Close, but not quite there. It'll never happen or other. And then, of course, OC put up a poll while on vacation because he's as excited as anybody else.
Just always grinding, right, Zach? Just OC, always grinding with polls, never not working.
I don't know if I'd call it grinding so much as taking like 15 seconds out of his day to like put something because maybe he wants a little attention. But however you want it, yes, we'll call it grinding. We'll call it grinding. I don't want to disparage my guy. But everybody's really excited about Corner Canyon's Jerome Miles. He had an amazing one-handed catch in the back of the end zone, had 3 touchdowns total as they pull off the upset last night. And obviously he is in the running to go to Utah with the big boys. So what would you do? This is what OC asked. What would you do to bring Jerome Miles in? Doesn't matter the cost. $1 million is an option. $500,000 is an option. And he also put up nothing until he shows something for the Utes. And let's not forget that Isaac Wilson was a former Corner Canyon teammate of Jerome Miles. So that is certainly helping the Utes' pursuit of him. And that's why they're up there. And that's kind of what Bill said. He kind of, again, I don't want to put words in Bill's mouth, but sort of said, look, they're never going to be up there with all those other big dogs. And I'm going to make an argument why they could. And I think a lot of it not dependent. Part of it is the past. Part of it is the present. But a lot of it is the future. And I think they could get there. So we'll see. We'll talk about that much, much more. Again, you can vote on the polls at ESPN 700. I'm at Zach Sports, ZA Sports. The opening segment, an hour for that matter, of the Sean O'Connell Show is always brought to you by Alvi Armani. If you're having various gentlemen or ladies, you can see me on YouTube Live now. There's no hiding. Not too much thinning. The hair just in general, James, is the problem. Is that I don't have a widow's peak yet. I don't have like the thing at the top of your head, like the big circle. So I'm looking all right, but the hair is just really thin. I'd like it to be more thick and luxurious. You know what I mean? So anyways, if you're having any hair issues, gentlemen or ladies, happen to ladies too, maybe it's just thinning more than you'd like, let Alvy Armani help you out. Find them online at alvyarmani.com. Tell them ESPN 700, 92.1 FM, James, OC, Zachariah, we all sent you as a collective group, everybody on that floor.
Alonzo,
Broadway
too.
Media.
Alonzo can send you, too.
Oh, yeah.
If you want to say Alonzo's
of
name, too. He's part of the show.
You know what?
Absolutely.
I don't know that I've ever seen him with a hat. What's he hiding underneath that lid?
Yeah. No,
What's his hair looking like? Have you ever seen his hair?
I have. What I just did, the whole adjust the hair thing, he does that every once in a while. He's got pretty good hair.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
He's got pretty good hair.
Look, I wasn't making any accusations. I simply hadn't seen him without a hat on. And boy, does he love his Dodgers.
Yes,
also,
he does.
Speaking of which, with Alonzo and C, I went to a Salt Lake Bees game. That's why you see the pennant behind me, which is what I think that they should change there. I really like the Salt Lake Gulls, James.
Yeah.
I got to be honest. I think they should just embrace that.
At first, I confused that for Texas Rangers because from the video, the circle logo part kind of looks, with the color scheme and everything, looks Texas Rangers.
No Rangers over here.
But then I saw
no.
But I was like, no, he's a California guy. He's an A's guy. So that's got to be something
Rangers.
else. Then you mentioned it's the Salt Lake Gulls. So there you go. It's a good one.
Yeah. I mean, it looks like it's from the 20s, but that's fine. I mean, throwback in these days.
Baseball, that works.
Yeah, for sure. But the Salt Lake Bees are hosting the Round Rock Express. The logo for the Express has got to be a train, right? Tonight at Smith's Ballpark, beautiful ballpark. Not totally sure why they're getting a new ballpark. Smith's Ballpark was incredible. They had the train back. By the way, they should not. How about this? See how my crazy mind works, James? They shouldn't run that train even for the kids. They run a train in the outfield. They shouldn't run it when they play the Express. Because it should be a message that they're sending, like, look, you play the Express, we don't run our train here when you're playing in our house.
The trains have been shut down. They are out of service when Round Rock's in town.
Yes. But text the keyword bees, BEES, text the keyword bees to 33986 right now for your chance to win tickets. And I believe tomorrow, because we were given OC when we left on Tuesday night for the game, his daughter wanted to go. The lovely Roe wanted to go. And OC was like, no, it's kind of an adult night. And then she said, will the train be running? And OC blatantly lied to her and said that the train will not be running when it definitely indeed ran that night. So he's going to make it up to her, I believe, by taking her. I believe it's daughter night on Saturday.
I think it's fairy tale. Yeah, fairy tale night.
Yeah.
So they're going to have the princesses and everything. Daddy, daughter, in other words. Exactly. Like you said.
Daddy, daughter night. And I believe there's going to be fireworks too. But yeah, go ahead and text the keyword bees to 33986 for your win tickets. Take it from me. It is a fantastic night out. I only had really one night out. I got there on Monday. We didn't do much. Again, O has 3 kids, 5 or under. It's a lot different than when I visited him the first time, 7 years ago when he was a bachelor. Much different time.
Don't say.
Yeah, our only night out was going to the AAA Bees game, but it was fantastic. And now what it's time for, because we got to do this every hour. It's golf time, baby, and we're gonna hit a point, James, where these PGA Tour leaderboard updates that are brought to you by the Salt Lake City golf courses. Download the SLC golf app today to book your tee times. There's going to be times where we don't have them. And I am a golf snob. Not literally. I'm actually a golf, hobo, basically. But I get very snobby if you give me a leaderboard update and I don't recognize any of the names. Because I watch golf enough that if you can't give me one of the 30 players that I know, I'm going to be upset. But let's hear the PGA Tour leaderboard update. What tournament we got going on, James?
It is the BMW Championship. It's the second leg of the FedEx Cup playoffs, so these ones count, right? Besides the majors, these are the biggest on the PGA Tour schedule.
Yep.
Adam Scott, that's a guy you know, right?
I heard of him.
The Aussie.
Heard of him. Yeah, he's the weirdo with the putter. He puts with the club under his chin, and it's full arms.
Right.
Super weird. Anyway, yeah.
He's your leader at 9 under. He's 5 shots up on, and this is when it gets a little more obscure, up on Alex Norain, a Swedish golfer who's 4 under, as Zachariah rolls his eyes on the YouTube stream here. Tied for third is the Korean Kim Si-woo at 3 under. Keegan Bradley, an American, is also tied for third.
Okay.
Excuse me. I'm looking at today's scores. So 13 under for Adam Scott, 8 under for Narain, 6 under for Kim, tied at third is 6 under is Keegan Bradley. And then your guy in 6th is Xander Schauffele. You know that guy. He's at 5 under.
Now we're cooking with
Here
gas.
we go.
Yeah.
And Scotty Scheffler's tied for 10th at 3 under. And our local guy, Rose Park's own Tony Finau, is tied for 28th at even par. He's 2 over for the day, so not a great round for him. Here's the thing to keep an eye on. Only the top 30 advance to the final leg of the playoffs next weekend. So Tony Finau is in a precarious position. He's one shot difference between qualifying for the last tournament and not qualifying. So he's got some work to do. He's 10 holes in, so he's got some time to make up for it, but he's even and tied for 28th.
Gotcha. All right. Yeah, there's of course brought to you by the Salt Lake City Golf Courses. Download the SLC Golf app today to book your tee times. And as I said, chopped it up with Paul, sales meeting. Paul said he comes to California a lot. I told him I got a golf course just up the street in the Berkeley Hills. We're going to golf together, and he'd hook me up. Next time I come to Utah, Lord knows OC's not going to do it.
Paul's a great guy to go golfing with, from what I've heard. I'm not much of a golfer myself, so I can't corroborate that. But Spence goes out golfing with him a lot. Nice. Bill was known to do it from time to time. He's a guy. He's a great guy from what I hear, a great guy to go out and play with, and he can teach you some things as you're out there because he's quite a good golfer himself.
And I am a total sponge on the golf course because as competitive as I am, golf is the one sport where I really don't care whether or not I do well or poorly. I just let it. It's like water off a duck's back, and I keep it moving. If I do great, I celebrate the hell out of it. It's why people like golfing with me, because I think it's silly. I'm just out there to have a good time. Here's the thing, James. The sport is too hard to care too much about it. So anyways, all right, we abuse the clock, but I'm filling in for OC, and he does it worse than I do. So I'm only trying to fill his shoes. So I'm purposely messing up the clock because it wouldn't be an OC show unless the clock was messed up. So we didn't get around the wacky world of sports, but here's the good news, people. We're only 1 hour in. We got 2 to go. Fantastic guests with Bill Riley in this past hour. We've got another fantastic guest coming up next, but I'm going to react a little bit, not only to Cam's interview with OC yesterday, but also what Bill said. And we will revisit the poll questions. And I think that all sort of kind of tied in. Who's the competition to win the Big 12? Utah doesn't. Is Utah a team that is now on the map enough where they can get 5-star recruits, or are the other teams always just going to be too big for them? I will tie all those in along with what Bill said, and we'll do that next. Again, you can always call in or text in. The lines are open, 877-353-0700. That's the Dish Pros text line. And then on Twitter, at ESPN 700, at Zach Sports, ZAK Sports.
And don't forget, Zach, we can do all of that with OC from DC next segment. We've got OC joining us next segment.
He is going to join us. I didn't know
that's my bad.
Going to have the time
miscommunication there. Okay. OC is going to be with us, so we can do all of that with OC himself. OC from DC. How about that?
OC from DC. It is his show, and he will join us. We will ask him about his poll, which is essentially, do you throw the whole bag? Do you just give a milli? Do you give half a milli? Or do you see, put this at the end? $0 until you produce. So what does OC want to do? Pay him per yard received? We'll ask him that. We'll grill him. We'll see how Chocolate City in the nation's capital is looking out there as he gets ready for the PFL fights tonight. We will do all that next. It is the Sean O'Connell Show. For the himself, Zachariah filling in for him right here, ESPN 700.
4th down and 6 coming up here for Utah. Gary Bryant back to receive the Cam Peasley punt. 2:02 to play. Low snap. Peasley gets the kick away. It was almost blocked. Somebody may have gotten a hand on it. It's a wobbly kick. Goes inside the 30, and Utah dives on it at about the 27-yard line. Looked like Dalton Kincaid came down and dove on it. He thought maybe somebody had touched it.
Yeah, he was diving like his life depended on it.
So SC will have a minute 54 here, and we'll see what they decide to do. If they decide to try and move the ball down the field, or if they just take the air out of it here and get done with it here tonight. Clearly the life has been taken out of this USC team, and now suffering their 3rd consecutive home loss and 3rd Pac-12 loss. They've taken themselves really out of the Pac-12 race for the year. 1st and 10 USC from their own 30-yard line. Slovis staying in that shotgun where he's been all night long. Utah with a 4-man rush, pushing the pocket. They'll hit him as he throws, and it goes incomplete. Trying to dump that ball off to his back out of the backfield, Malapei. Xavier Carlton got home that time and hit the arm of Keaton Slovis as he let it go.
Yeah, and Utah's done a nice job all night getting enough pressure on Slovis when they had to and not really giving up many big plays at all, really.
2nd down and 10 now for USC. Slovis takes the snap. Delayed handoff. Malapei, they've just decided now to wave the white flag. 4-yard gain for Malapei as we come up on a minute 40 to play. So Utah's going to improve on the year to 3-2 and 2-0 in Pac-12 play. And as they've dealt with so much over the last couple of weeks, I imagine that will be an emotional locker room tonight. Here's a 4-man rush, and there's a hit from behind and a pass incomplete. Goodness gracious, the pressure came from the backside. Xavier Carlton was there, as was Sire, make it Jonah Ellis. Luther's boy came on that backside pressure. Your old teammate, Scott.
Yeah, Luther, that's good to see his son getting in there playing. I just don't understand this from USC. I mean,
here we go, 4th down and 6. Utah, they are bringing the house here, it appears. And Slovis backpedals. Here they come. They drop out. Blitz still coming. Slovis surveying, looking, firing down the field. Caught. Taj Washington at the 50. Outside, up the sideline. Taj Washington stays in bounds and down to the Utah 42-yard line. It's amazing to me. They'll get pressure with just 4 men, but when they've blitzed tonight, they haven't necessarily gotten home.
And it looks like they line up all on that one side, and USC finds a way to block them all.
Minute to play, 1st and 10. Slovis to pass again. Lots of time again. Going to scramble out to his right, throw it toward the end zone. He's got a man out there, caught, touchdown. Oh, my goodness. Epps caught it. And McKinney and Davis are looking at each other saying, you missed it. No, you missed it. But that'll be a USC touchdown. They'll get it on the board here. And they'll make this game look a little closer than it really was with that late score. Epps with his first career touchdown is a USC Trojan.
Yeah, and Utah they just kind of got caught. I mean, who cares at this point, really? It doesn't even matter. It's just garbage. They're garbage yards, garbage touchdowns. It means nothing.
Utah's only going to care that they got the W here. They may care in film study, but that's about it. USC will go for 2. Try and make it a 16-point game with 52 seconds to play. Slovis and Malapei in the gun.
You're listening to the Sean O'Connell Show from the Murdoch Hyundai Studio of ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM.
Welcome back to the program. It is the Sean O'Connell Show. Zachariah filling in right here, ESPN 700. We will get to the cup poll that we will put up again at ESPN 700 at Zach Sport, ZAK Sports, and we'll talk to Josh Newman at the top of the hour, former Utah Ute coverer. Now he's a trader, and he covers Texas. So we'll talk to him about the SEC, and we'll talk to him about the Big 12 much more. But right now, it is the man whose name is on the show, Sean O'Connell looking live. If you are watching, and by the way, we are now officially full-blown, even though tons of technical difficulties, live on YouTube. If you can check it out right now, go check it out, ESPN 700 Sports. My guy, OC, is from a hotel, I presume, about to call a game, a match, a fight, whatever you want to call it, for PFL, and he's looking very presidential. How is your hotel, OC? How is Chocolate City, and are you pumped for tonight's fight?
Let me tell you something. Airing of grievances. I'm going to start a little bit early because this hotel, it's a nice hotel. All right. I know that the company probably forked out a lot of dough for this hotel, and they casually drop in when you're checking in. Also, we're doing construction on the hotel. It'll start at 8 a.m. and it will go till 6 p.m. So all day long, you just get the ding, 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 starting at 8 a.m. Grievance.
4th down and 6 coming up here for Utah.
Yeah. It's a grievance for sure. I mean, I guess probably wake up. I mean, at home, you wake up at 7, right? With the 3 babies, 5 and under. You wake up at 7. So 8 can't be that much worse, right? Plus, it's later out there.
It's fine. But 8 o'clock here is 6 o'clock at home. So look, it's a first world problem, but that's what most of our grievances are.
All right. Well, I know you're getting picked up probably by a luxury car because you have a driver like Stephen A. Smith. We all know you're big time. So I know you don't have a ton of time. But before we dive into the football talk, because you sent me this last night, looked into it, was like, whoa, okay, tie in here. Oh, wow, okay, one-handed catch. Okay, well, those are the teams. So anyways, I want to get into that in a second. But before we do all that, what's on the card tonight and why should people be tuning in? You know I'll be tuning in at least for the intro because I like to see your mug. And if I get into the fight, I will stick around for the fights. But why should people watch tonight for the PFL?
Featherweights and welterweights, so 2 weight classes. Winners move on to a $1 million championship fight. It's win or go home, which always means the stakes are incredibly high. It's a lot of fun. And because of the matchups we got, there's going to be some knockouts tonight. There's a lot of strikers in these 2 weight classes, a lot of strikers on these cards. So it's worth watching 100%. You got England versus Hawaii in the main event. Brendan Loughnane versus Kai Kamaka. Ray Cooper III, who won the PFL championship twice. He is actually the last fight on our early card on ESPN+. So he's not even in the season this year, but he won it 2 times. He's got some of the heaviest hands in the entire sport, and he's back. He's back in shape. He's off the injury train. So there's just a lot of fun guys on this card. First fight on the main card on ESPN is going to be at 8 o'clock Mountain Time. First fight on the early card will be 5:30 Mountain Time.
All right. Well, I'll definitely be checking it out. I know there was a couple of times where I told you I text you mid-fight. It's like, holy bleep, that just happened. So I do get into the fights when I do. Most of the times I just like to watch you do the intros and the outros, but we'll see if I'll stick around tonight. Now, let's get to what I was telling the people out there, the people of Salt Lake, that you very rarely call me, text me, unless it's very important because you're such a big-time, high-profile guy. But you texted me out of the blue. You're like, dude, Corner Canyon just knocked off IMG Academy. I'm like, okay. So we're like, no, that's like a football factory. And then I looked into it, and of course, Corner Canyon has what the youth are hoping they bring in when it comes to Jerome Miles. So let's start with your poll, then we'll get to my poll, and then my second to last poll, and then you can get out of here and get your luxury limo that's waiting for you. Okay. In terms of your poll, how did you vote on your own poll? Your options were, and I don't really know what the money is, like the specifics. I should be able to get a breakdown at some point or look into it. So I don't really know what the money is, but you put up whatever it takes. You put up $1 million, which I'm assuming is a decent amount for a 5-star recruit. Then you put up 500,000, and then you put up the troll, the 4th option, which made me chuckle. $0 until he produces on the field, which made me think, what does OC think? So for each yard he receives, he gets $1, or like for each touchdown, he gets 20 grand or something. Anyways, on your own poll, how did you vote?
Well, look, first of all, that 4th option is what name, image, and likeness was intended to be. You were supposed to get money once you proved yourself to be a star, and businesses, local businesses, companies were just like, oh, yeah, this is somebody I can get behind. That's what NIL money was designed to be. And instead,
how long did that last?
0 days. Instead, it was just buy recruits, pay for play. It was a bunch of collectives putting together these slush funds to try and entice high schoolers and transfers and JUCO guys to come to their school. So, look, there's still an old school mentality of, we'd love for you to come here, but I'm not going to pay you until you actually prove to me that you're an elite player at the college level, because you can't just be wasting money on guys that aren't going to produce. Now, I look at someone like Jerome Miles, and he's producing. He's producing against the best talent that he faces. And obviously you can only beat who's in front of you. IMG has 25 guys on their roster with D1 offers. Their offensive line, their starting offensive line is averaging about 300 pounds. That's a college offensive line.
Yeah.
And look, high school teams do have a hard time when they travel. They do have a hard time playing these super games on the road. It's typically, an endeavor that rewards the home team. But IMG Academy is a sports school, a sports campus designed to get your kid to the next level. Every kid who's at that school playing football is hoping to be in the NFL someday. And it's a much more realistic dream for them than it is for most people. Now, Corner Canyon, Eric Kerr, we all know what they've done locally. We all know that they acquire the best talent locally. And Jerome Miles is right now the best talent in the state of Utah. He is the best talent maybe ever to come from the state of Utah at his position. He's the only guy that I can remember who had a 5-star rating on him as an in-state prospect as a wide receiver. So my answer on my own poll is you pay him what I think the market rate is. And I think the market rate is up to $1 million, which is crazy to say for a high school kid. If the whatever it costs mentality is too dangerous for me. You can't commit that much of that largest slice of the pie to a guy who's still at the college level is unproven. Now, I think Jerome Miles is going to be a spectacular college player because we're seeing him have that kind of success against future college players. But on my own poll, I'm voting that second option, $1 million.
Yeah, but look, OC, maybe Utah becoming, they're talking about this is the best wide receiver group that they've ever had. You said no brainer when I asked you that off air. With Singer coming in, maybe more wide receivers are going to perk up. I think that depends a lot on how they do, what kind of recruits they get, and specifically how they perform and how much they get onto the national stage. Now, in terms of my question, obviously the tie-in for Jerome Miles and perhaps, and again, I don't want to put, we had Bill Riley on, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but it seemed like he said that they'll never be par with the bigger teams like Georgia and Alabama and Ohio State. But I feel like, why couldn't they? If they do, obviously they are in this conversation because he has a tie-in to Utah. But if he does commit, how many wide receivers are going to go, oh, he only went there because he has ties into Utah? And then if they get into the playoff, and even if they don't win it all, but they make some noise or they're at least very much competitive and they're on the national stage, why couldn't they be up there with the USCs and the Ohio States and the Georgias?
Well, it's going to take winning at that level, right? And it's going to take showing these young athletes, these potential recruits and guys in the transfer portal that, look, you come here and you'll get 60 catches and you'll get 12 touchdowns and you'll get NFL draft status and you'll get big money from NIL. Like, that's what it's going to take. You're right now, you're not equipped in your NIL situation, in your collective situation, and really just historically, you're not equipped to compete on the level with like Ohio State, Georgia, Texas, et cetera. But you are at a position, you are in a spot now where you're competing with those second-tier teams. You know what I mean? So maybe not Michigan, but you're better than Michigan State. You're more proven than they are. Like Iowa and Penn State and some of these teams. Penn State's probably, borderline. But Utah is a new blood almost. They're not a blue blood. We know that. But they're almost a new blood in college football.
Yeah.
And if they can win a playoff game this year, they firmly cement themselves in that category, and the money comes with it, right? So it'd be helpful if you had a billionaire donor that was willing to write these checks like Oregon has, like BYU now has on the basketball side. But that's what it's going to take. The money, the money has to come from somewhere. And when you're redistributing it to Kyle Whittingham makes a ton of money. His coordinators make a ton of money. The facilities cost a lot of money. Your quarterback every year is going to cost a lot of money. when you start paying offensive linemen and wide receivers and pass rushers, you got to have a big time fund for
enough.
that.
Yeah.
Ryan Day at Ohio State said it's going to cost him about $15 million a year to field the roster. And that was 2 years ago. So that price has gone up.
Yeah. All right. Well, I know you got to go, so you can answer this as long as you want to or as short as you want to. But just basically, if they don't win the Big 12, the Utes, who will be the biggest threat to do it? And some of these teams, they don't even play, but it's just the way it works. Maybe they'll meet in the Big 12 championship. But Kansas, West Virginia, Ohio State. And James, how did you word the fourth option? Did you say other?
Did you say Ohio State again?
No, Oklahoma State.
Oh,
Is that correct?
Oklahoma State. Sorry, I know. Every time I see OSU, I say Ohio State. I know.
It's the acronym. It's the acronym. You got when you make an acronym for Oklahoma State, you got to say OKSU.
Yeah. Agreed.
It's like when people try to call South Carolina USC, University of South Carolina. USC, Southern California.
Yeah. Well, also,
or you do what I do and put the
U-Bowl.
TOSU, little TOSU for the Ohio State University. There you go.
Yeah, I know. It's the second time that I did it. Even when I wrote it out, I was like, "Oh, you got it now. You can just write out OSU." And I did it again. But every time I see OSU, I think Ohio State, and that's why it's going to make the U Bowl so interesting when Utah plays Miami. Because whoever wins that game, when they say the U now, they get the credit for that. That's what I'm talking about. Because
that's my proposal. Look,
so who's your biggest threat?
The biggest threat for Utah in winning a conference championship is Oklahoma State, because you have a direct competition with them in that Week 4 game, and like the 1B is Kansas State. I really think Kansas State's got a great roster this year. I'm not convinced that Kansas can keep their guy upright. I'm not convinced that Kansas can keep their quarterback playing even more than half the games this year. He is injury prone. But Avery Johnson at Kansas State is going to be a big-time problem for everyone, and their schedule is pretty favorable. They don't run into some of the more physical teams. They don't run into the University of Utah in the regular season. So I think that's going to be your conference championship matchup. And Kansas State is just the Big 12 version of Utah. Never talked about as one of the blue bloods, never talked about as like a favorite necessarily. That's how Utah was in the Pac-12 conference. You always had to compete with USC, Oregon, Washington, bigger brands. That has been Kansas State's reality for many years in the Big 12, especially when Texas and Oklahoma were there. But they quietly won a bunch. And their coach is one of the best in the business. He's only going to be there probably 2 more years before somebody snatches him up and gives him like a big time SEC type contract. So Kansas State is a scary, scary team.
Make sure you have your phone on silent. If I get sucked into those fights, I will be texting you, asking you questions as if you can go, wait a minute, ESPN and America, give me a second. Zachariah texted me. He wants to know about this guy and whether or not he's more of a wrestler and a grappler, or he's more of a knockoutist. So I'll text him back and then I'll get right back to you. Hang tight.
Hey, hang on, fight fans. My buddy's asking me how I pronounce this Russian name so skillfully. All right.
Thank you, OC. Have a great call, man. You look spiffy. You look sharp, kid.
Yeah, tune in. ESPN tonight, 8 o'clock Mountain Time. Be there. Thanks.
Be there, be square. I will be there. I'll check it out. I ain't doing nothing. I'm tired, James. I ain't doing nothing, man. If I was 30 instead of 40, I'd probably have some club plans. You know what I mean? Hit the streets.
I'm a man. I'm 40.
Yeah. You know what men that are 40 do? They kick their feet up on the recliner. They unwind, and they're asleep by. Actually, it's Friday night, James. Maybe I might hit 11.
Whoa.
I might hit 11. You know,
it's going to be a wild night for Zachariah, 11 o'clock.
I might turn up a little bit, and by turn up, I mean just stay awake longer in my recliner.
We watch a Marvel movie tonight.
I have big nights on Saturday, though. Saturdays go semi-hard in the paint, go to like a local pub, something like that. That's big time. It's about like 4 nights a week, James. I'm talking like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Sunday would be more day. But I would go out like legitimately till 2, 3, 4 in the morning. And now if you told me, hey, if my buddy called me and said, hey, it's my 40th birthday, let's go to the club, I'd be like, bro, you called the wrong guy.
I'm 40.
Yeah, I'd be like, did you get the wrong number? Because I'm like Van Gundy. I'm a man. I'm 40. All right, coming up next, let's have some fun with these questions, because while I do understand, and again, I don't want to put words in OC mouth, so you can go back and listen to the interview, but I believe what both of them said is they might be able to get to the upper echelon of the second echelon, but they will not crack the upper echelon. And I want to push back on that a little bit. I think part of it's the past, part of it's the present, and a lot of it's going to be what happens in the future. But I don't know why they can't be. Because as OC said, the money's got to come from somewhere. Kyle's getting cashed out. His coordinators are getting cashed out. These NLI guys are getting cashed out. But with more success brings more money. And that money can go somewhere. And I think it's going to have a big impact depending on who they bring in and how they actually play on the field and whether or not they can actually get there. So you can go ahead and vote, as always, at ESPN 700. I'm at Zach Sports, ZA Sports, and then you can text in or call in 877-353-0700. We'll get to that next. It is the Sean O'Connell Show. You just heard from the man himself, Zachariah, filling in right here, ESPN 700.
Fourth down and 6 coming up here for Utah. Gary Bryant back to receive the Cam Peasley punt. 2:02 to play. Low snap. Peasley gets the kick away. It was almost blocked. Somebody may have gotten a hand on it. It's a wobbly kick. Goes inside the 30, and Utah dives on it at about the 27-yard line. Looked like Dalton Kincaid came down and dove on it. He thought maybe somebody had touched it.
Yeah, he was diving like his life depended on it.
So SC will have a minute 54 here, and we'll see what they decide to do. If they decide to try and move the ball down the field, or if they just take the air out of it here and get done with it here tonight. Clearly the life has been taken out of this USC team, and now suffering their third consecutive home loss and third Pac-12 loss. They've taken themselves really out of the Pac-12 race for the year. First and 10 USC from their own 30-yard line. Slovis staying in that shotgun where he's been all night long. Utah with a 4-man rush, pushing the pocket. They'll hit him as he throws, and it goes incomplete. Trying to dump that ball off to his back out of the backfield, Malapei. Xavier Carlton got home that time and hit the arm of Keaton Slovis as he let it go.
Yeah, and Utah's done a nice job all night getting enough pressure on Slovis when they had to and not really giving up many big plays at all, really.
Second down and 10 now for USC. Slovis takes the snap. Delayed handoff. Malapei, they've just decided now to wave the white flag. 4-yard gain for Malapei as we come up on a minute 40 to play. So Utah's going to improve on the year to 3-2 and 2-0 in Pac-12 play. And as they've dealt with so much over the last couple of weeks, I imagine that will be an emotional locker room tonight. Here's a 4-man rush. And there's a hit from behind and a pass incomplete. Goodness gracious. The pressure came from the backside. Xavier Carlton was there. As was Sire, make it Jonah Ellis. Luther's boy came on that backside pressure. Your old teammate, Scott.
Yeah, Luther, that's good to see his son getting in there and playing. I just don't understand this from USC. I mean,
here we go, 4th down and 6. Utah, they are bringing the house here, it appears. Slovis backpedals. Here they come. They drop out. Blitz still coming. Slovis surveying, looking, firing down the field. Caught. Taj Washington at the 50. Outside, up the sideline. Taj Washington stays in bounds and down to the Utah 42-yard line. It's amazing to me. They'll get pressure with just 4 men, but when they've blitzed tonight, they haven't necessarily gotten home.
And it looks like they line up all on that one side, and USC finds a way to block them all.
Minute to play, 1st and 10. Slovis to pass again. Lots of time again. Going to scramble out to his right, throw it toward the end zone. He's got a man out there. Caught, touchdown. Oh, my goodness. Epps caught it. And McKinney and Davis are looking at each other saying, you missed it. No, you missed it. But that'll be a USC touchdown. They'll get it on the board here. And they'll make this game look a little closer than it really was with that late score. Epps with his first career touchdown is a USC Trojan.
Yeah, and Utah they just kind of got caught. I mean, who cares at this point, really? It doesn't even matter. It's just garbage. They're garbage yards, garbage touchdowns. It means nothing.
Utah's only going to care that they got the W here. They may care in film study, but that's about it. USC will go for 2. Try and make it a 16-point game with 52 seconds to play. Slovis and Malapei in the gun. Slovis looks to his right, surveys, back to his left again, being chased out of the pocket now. 5 Utes coming after him. He throws it toward the end zone, and it's caught. Epps came down with it again, and Malone Mataele was right on it. How about that? Utah had 5 guys.
This is the Sean O'Connell Show, brought to you by Les Schwab Tires, your home for University of Utah football talk in the middays. Here's OC on your home of the Utes, ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM.
None of that was on air. I was doing a hell of an intro. First, I started by asking, do I wait for the beat to drop? But I think it takes long for the beat to drop. I did read that it is the greatest beat drop in the history of music, but I don't think I can wait that long. But anyways, feel it in the air. I'm assuming that's because we can feel Utah football in the air. It is the Sean O'Connell Show. Zachariah filling in right here, ESPN 700. You just heard from the man himself. And our show today and every day is brought to you by Les Schwab Tires. Les Schwab tires, wheels, and accessories for whatever you drive. Stop by your local Les Schwab today, and their professionals will get the job right the first time. So we heard from OC. I don't want to put words in his mouth or in Bill's mouth. Again, you have to listen to the interview, but I'm going to give you what I deem to be the summary of what they said, which is essentially Utah will not quite ever get to the upper echelon of college football when it comes to recruits. Bill said that's just fine. They recruit guys that fit their system, and they can have all kinds of success. As he pointed out, USC might be the more glamorous destination, might get more of the 5-star recruits. Who had more Pac-12 titles, Utah or USC? You already know the answer. So here's my argument for why they can. And again, if you want to join the program, Dish Pro's text line is 877-353-0700. You can also call in at that number, 877-353-0700. The station's Twitter handle is at ESPN 700, where we have put up some polls, and I have retweeted them at Zach Sports, ZK Sports. And there's some interesting ones on there. Obviously, a lot of this coming off of the heels from last night's game. I got a buddy, James. Everybody has a buddy that really gets into the weeds of sports. So he knows how to watch like any game, like watch it back. He's got a site for it. So I asked him if I could rewatch the game. I couldn't quite get to it, but I did see some of the highlights, and I certainly saw the amazing back of the end zone, one-handed catch, 25 yards to tie it at 28 with about 7 minutes to go in the game by Jerome Miles, who the Ute fans, the Ute coaches, the Ute programs, the whole program, Bill Riley's hoping for it, Whittingham's hoping for it, everybody's hoping for it, to bring in Jerome Miles. And it was on full display, as I believe he has 5 touchdowns in 2 games. James, is that right?
Yeah,
That's a pretty good average.
He's been awesome. Yeah, that's not bad. It's not bad average there. No, he's been awesome.
2.5 touchdowns a game, no big deal.
Yeah, he's been awesome. Yeah. He was on full display last night. I did not catch it live, but I did see some of the highlights. The one-handed catch was incredible.
Incredible.
The touchdown that put them in the lead was not necessarily a great catch, but he burned the corner to get in the back of the end zone to catch that one. The corner, I think, is a Georgia recruit. Yeah. So anyway, and the quarterback, Kasuga, is that how you say his name? He was awesome in some of those highlights too. So in Corner Canyon, they're not IMG Academy, although they just beat IMG Academy, the third ranked team in the country. They're not that kind of a national reputation yet, but they're getting there the way that Coach Kerr has built that program. I mean, Zach Wilson, Jackson Dart, Isaac Wilson, and now Jerome Miles, and then there's others from other positions that went on to big time college careers and big time commitments to big time schools, and some of them in the NFL now. I mean, they're getting they're starting to build a national reputation for themselves, and a win over the number 3 ranked team nationally in the country is not bad. Not a bad way to do it.
No, for sure. Look, Corner came in as the 18th ranked team, and the headline was "Shocked the high school football world" Thursday night, pulling off a 35-34 victory over perennial powerhouse number 3 IMG Academy. Now, obviously, those rankings are going to change. I was surprised that IMG went for it, but this Dan Campbell, it all started with Riverboat Ron when he was in Carolina, going for these gutsy play calls, and a lot of these analysts will break down whether or not the statistics tell you that you should. And oftentimes, I'm like, yeah, you should have went for it when they get it. And then when they don't, I'm like, that was stupid. So, you saw Detroit, huge meltdown against the Niners in the NFC Championship game last year, a couple of times going for it. One time, ball was right in, I believe it was Reynolds' hand, and he dropped it. I think more often than not, fans want the team to go for it, and they did, but they got stopped, and they lost. And so a lot of that, what came out of that is Jerome Miles, where he's at in terms of being a 5-star recruit, and where Utah is in terms of being able to land him. And again, talking with OC and Bill, they seem to feel like it's not necessarily Utah's not necessarily going to be constantly in those conversations of 5-star recruits. It's not often going to come down. And again, when you look at the list and you look at Georgia and Ohio State and you look at USC and then you see Utah in there, then part of Ole Miss is in there. But you go, Utah, well, one of these things is not like the other. You might think that about Utah. Where I would push back is this. And I mentioned this to start the show. How many recruits that are, let's say, sophomores or juniors right now are going to look, let's say, knock on wood, knock on all kinds of wood. But let's say that Miles comes to the Utes. How many recruits looking at that decision are going to go, well, he only went there because there's a guy on the team that used to be his teammate, or he only went there because he's in Utah, it's in their backyard. I don't think a lot of guys are going to look at it like that. I think they're going to go, Utah, okay. And I played some sound, James, probably a month and a half ago now at this point, of the Pat McAfee Show, which is a national show on ESPN TV and radio. And one of the guys, Bolton Connor, I don't know if you're familiar with the show or not. You should be listening to that. But if you do know the show, it's a pretty popular show. I believe he's getting upwards of $20 million a year to do that show. And all of his guys, all of his friends, his guys, are getting paid as well. And Boston Connor, when he bought the C2K, whatever they're calling it these days, game, chose the Utes. And he talked about how he's getting recruits out of Hawaii, the Islanders coming in, and in this game, it's very intimate. You are the head coach. You are the head coach. You're the program director. You're everything. You're the athletic director. You're the owner of the damn college. And you go through everything. You go to these people's homes, I believe. It turns into like a sim game where like you literally enter the player's house and meet the parents and all that stuff. But he chose the Utes, and he played like 3 seasons and won 2 of the 3 seasons with the Utes. That to me seems stupid. And this is just some guy. I'm not calling Boston Connor stupid by any stretch of the imagination. Congratulations to both him and Pat McAfee on their success. My point is more the fact that some show that originates in Indiana and is now nationally on the globe for ESPN is talking about Utah leads me to believe, why can't they be in the conversation with the Georgias and the Ohio States as they are? And not just because they have a guy that's in their backyard that they're going after in this case. And again, I think most top 5-star recruits are not going to look at that story and go, they just because of the Utah guy. I think they're going to go, that's a 5-star recruit that chose to go there. Now, here's the other piece of it. How is Utah going to play this year? And I hate to give the caveat, but you have to give it every single time you ever have any conversation about how the season's going to go. Assuming health. Again, I told you this. I used to tease people that play seasons on Madden with injuries turned off. But now if I do get the college game, which I've been looking at for like forever now, I need to get it now that I'm going to have more time off with OC being back from his fighting duties. I got to get the game. I got to go through and play it. I haven't played video games in forever, but I do just to get a feel of the Big 12, to get a feel for Utah, see the stadium, feel like I'm there even though I'm not. But I understand why people play with the injuries turned off, because injuries ruin everything. So you're going to have to understand anytime I make a conversation, but you get a new audience every time, so I have to say it every time, even though it's going to be boring to me and you, James. Assuming health. Let's assume health for these Utes. Let's assume that they bring in – they already have a great class coming in, but let's assume that they add to that, and then let's assume that this season goes as well as we're all hoping for. To me, there's no reason why they wouldn't be up there. Let's say USC falls flat in the Big Ten. Let's say, the SEC teams all beat up on each other. Now, remember, Oklahoma and Texas left the Big 12 to go to the SEC, but there's only so many teams that can make it. And now you're like really stacking that conference. So let's say a couple of them have 3 losses. And let's say you come out either unscathed or with only 1 loss. And they make a little noise, maybe fall to Georgia national championship game. Why couldn't Utah be all of a sudden on the map as a national powerhouse that is in the conversation with not just 5-star recruits that are in your backyard, but are in other states as well? California's a hop, skip, and a jump.
Yeah, that's kind of what happened with Oregon, right? Oregon was, it was a respected program. It was a program that had some double-digit wins every once in a while. And then all of a sudden, was it Dennis Dixon, Jonathan Stewart, mid to late 2000s? All of a sudden, they're looking like a national power, and they're still a national power, right? After a few down years in there. That's a pretty good blueprint. Now, the one thing that I think would hold Utah back is the money. Are they ever going to have the money, anything close to what Ohio State and Georgia and Alabama have? Are they going to be in the ballpark with that kind of money? If they can't, then they're always going to be, the best they can be is probably right where they are now, where people know them.
And that's fair.
People know them, but they don't necessarily take them seriously as a national championship contender. But if they can get enough money to get into that ballpark, then the sky's the limit for this program, because they have the coaching. They've shown when they have the talent that they can put together a good product on the field. Now with NIL and with actual pay for play coming up here soon, money's going to be a big factor.
And James, that's totally fair. But with success comes money. I've read all these reports on Salt Lake City as I was trying to do my due diligence before I came out there. It's one of the most popular cities when it comes to financial growth, job growth, all that stuff. You see how much money BYU has. I mean, let's not act like Utah doesn't have money. And with tons of success will breed more money. And so all I'm saying is a lot of it is going to depend on how much noise the Big 12 makes. And I mentioned Will earlier that Mad Dog Russo didn't even pick a Big 12 team. He did the Big 12 winner out of his 12 teams that are going to make the playoffs. He only thinks one, but let's say 2 or 3 make it. Let's say they make noise in the playoff. Then all of a sudden, how are these conferences going to align? Is it going to turn into what I've been talking about where it's only 2 and it's the AFC and the NFC? Regardless, Utah is on the trajectory to get to the point where I don't think they're only in the conversation with big-time recruits if they're in their backyard. And a lot of it, again, has to do with their past. 2 Rose Bowls, 2 Pac-12 championships, correct? Moving up in the line when it comes to conferences. Now getting the Big 12, where they can make some noise there and become the elite of elite. And then who knows what the future is going to bring. I honestly, college football is so unexplainable. I never thought we'd have the Tupac when it comes to 2 teams in the Pac-12 that used to be the Pac-10. Like, I can't predict any of this stuff, but there's no reason why Utah, based on their past, based on their current, where they're getting picked by most people to win their conference, and then based on whatever the hell happens in the future, whether it's getting 5-star recruits or it's making noise in the college football playoff, there's no reason why they can't be up there with the big boys. And maybe I'm just brash and bold on my Utah high horse, or my box, whatever you want to call it, James, but I see no reason why it can't happen. But when you look at the results, people are feeling my energy. Now, maybe it's because it's the hometown, and that kind of comes with it. So there's a little homerism built into it. But if you look at the poll at ESPN 700, at Zach Sports, ZAK Sports, the question was, Utah's in the mix for 5-star wide receiver Jerome Miles from Corner Canyon. They are competing perennial powers, Ohio State, Georgia, and others that are in the mix. So I ask, can Utah compete with the national powers for recruits? Your options are yes, absolutely, no, but they're close, no, and they never will. Yes, absolutely is at 64%. No, but they're close is 27%, which is kind of where I'm at. But again, a lot is going to ride on this year, and I could easily go into that 64%, and 9% is no, and they never will. But that might be BYU fans.
I could, yeah, or some very pessimistic Utes fans. So basically, 81% think that they either think that absolutely they're already there, or they can get there, which is very optimistic. And I'm with you. I'm not going to doubt it. I did the no, but they're close option, me too. But I'm not going to doubt it in the next 5 to 10 years if they are. You know, I'm not going to be like, oh, that's going to be surprising, because we've seen the trajectory already heading that direction.
And that game, as they say, is why they play the games. Because if they get on that stage, all of a sudden, even though they already have a very good recruiting class this year, and I wanted to get into some of the details, we still have some show to go, so maybe I'll get into it. But they already have a very good recruiting class, and I think that it can only get better depending on how things go this year. All right, coming up next, short segment. We'll do fun in the 40s, clean up some stuff, give you a PGA Tour update, all that good stuff, and then we will be joined by, I got yelled at. I'm not going to say who yelled at me, James, and I'm trying not to ruffle feathers. I really just want to be as amicable as possible with the entire ESPN 700 crew. I thought I was polite and as kind as I could possibly be when I came out there on Monday, left Wednesday. I try to be kind to everybody, but I got reprimanded last night, and I was told to correct my behavior because I guess I was a little too hard on our guy Eric Weddle. I was just hurt. Oftentimes when you lash out and say things, I didn't say anything mean, but anytime you say something where it comes from a place of hurt. My heart hurt. I was so looking forward to interviewing Eric, and I'm sure I will at some point. But anyways, I was reprimanded. I was told so. So I don't know if this is too strong. Is this too strong? You tell me. You tell me, James. Is this too strong to call our guest that's going to come at the top of the hour? Am I allowed to call him a traitor, or is that too strong?
No, that's okay. And Josh is a guy they'll play along with it. So he's got a sense of humor about it. And I will say, I could tell you're being tongue in cheek about Eric Weddle yesterday, but some of our listeners are very sensitive about, hey, don't go after my Utes legends like that. It was tongue in cheek, guys. We're good.
And I was just hurt, and I look forward to any time that I can catch up with him. I will look forward to it. And We'll ask Josh. That'll be the first question. Is it fair to call you a traitor as you have transitioned from covering the Utes to being big time in the biggest state? Actually, is California? California's the biggest state. Texas is too. I always get those two mixed up. Anyways, he moved on to Texas. So is it fair to call him a traitor? We'll ask him that. Then obviously we'll get into the SEC, and he's still very close to the Big 12. And then obviously Utah Utes football and the college football landscape at large. We will do that next after we do Fun in the 40s. Next, the Sean O'Connell Show. Zachariah filling in right here, ESPN 700.
Two knees by Utah should do it here. There's a flag on the play. It's going to go against. First and 10 all the way back at the 20-yard line now with 3:48 to play. Slovis in the gun. Takes, hands it off to Ingram. Keontae Ingram stacked up at the line of scrimmage and driven backwards at the line of scrimmage by that Utah front. They're doing a really good job. Junior Tafuna led the push that time, a gain of about 2. Second down and 8 coming up with the clock running at 3:25 to play before halftime. SC's got 2 of their 3 timeouts. They're taking their time just a bit here because I don't think they want to give the ball back potentially to Utah, who will get it coming out of the locker room. Second down and 8. Slovis stays in the shotgun. 4 wide look at a tailback. That's Keontae Ingram. Utah showing pressure, and here they come. It's a inside flanker screen. Drake London's got it, and he'll be close to first down yardage up to the 30-yard line. He'll pick up 8. That's always going to get you some yardage, Scott, but that's not a big play.
No, but they've run it to death here against Utah the last 2 games, and Utah's not handled it all that well.
First and 10, they go with tempo. Utah getting after Keaton Slovis. He throws it outside, nearly intercepted by Zamiah Vaughn. Oh, he had the coverage all over Washington here on the near sideline. And Utah's pass rush got to Slovis. He probably should have thrown that football incomplete.
No, Vaughn really should have intercepted it there. And, again, but nice job. Just get him to move. Get him to move, and you're going to get a bad throw.
Second down and 10 for USC at their own 30. Clock stopped at 2:43 to play before halftime. 4 wide look now on second down and 10. Utah just showing a 4-man down front right now. Slovis claps his hands, takes the snap. Pressure off the edge. He's going to go down. They've wrapped him up and taken him down. All the way back at the 22-yard line, Mika Tafua got him. 8-yard loss. And now Utah might think about using one of those timeouts, Scott, as the clock runs here with 2:25 to play and third down and 18 coming up.
Yeah, you would think so. You got to watch for Drake London in this situation, though.
Yes, you do. USC going with tempo on third down and 18. Now they look to the sideline. They're 4 of 7 on third down. Slovis looks up at the play clock and the game clock. They're going to let this bleed down just a bit. Now he calls the play at the line of scrimmage. 2 minutes exactly to play before halftime, third down and 18. Slovis backpedals. 4-man rush, going to get home again. Tafua chasing him. He throws it complete to Bryant at the 25, and Gary Bryant wrapped up and taken down.
Timeout.
Zamiah Vaughn again right there on the coverage. A short gain.
Timeout.
And a minute 40, 39, a minute 38. Is Utah going to take a timeout?
Why are they not calling timeout?
35, 34. I don't get this, Scott.
Why are they not calling timeout here?
Covey stands at his own 28-yard line. They're just going to let this thing go all the way down. They're going to take the timeout now. USC will. Scott, they let 40 seconds go off the play clock.
I just don't like this because it makes you feel like you're not trying to go and win the game. You're just trying not lose it. And, I mean, you have a massive opportunity here. I think that's kind of blown in this situation.
They have all 3 timeouts, and they chose not to use it there. So Utah with a 73-yard field. They've probably got to pick up 35 yards to feel good maybe about being in Jordan Noyes' field goal range. New place kicker. 3 wides right, 1 to the left here. Man coverage to the near side for Utah. First down, rising to pass. Pressure coming. They throw the screen. It's complete. Mekhi Bernard. Oh, Mekhi! He ran right at the defender, Mauga, and picked up nothing. Timeout taken by Utah. That had a chance.
First time out of the half, Utah.
I know Utah doesn't run a ton of screens, Scott, but Mekhi didn't read that one very well, did he?
No, and your offensive lineman, they got to get out there. I mean, you got 3 guys to block one guy, and he runs right through 3 guys. I mean, if a guy shows up in your face and you're an offensive lineman, you got to go block it. And Utah just kind of ran past it there.
I just looked at the replay. My apologies.
This is the Sean O'Connell Show, your home of the best insight of your Utes. Let's get back to OC from the Murdoch Chevrolet studio of ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM.
That's right, big voice guy. You tell me who gives you better local and national coverage than ESPN 700. Between the Sean O'Connell Show, my appearances here and there, and Spence Checketts, who's got it better than us? Nobody! It is the Sean O'Connell Show. His guy, Zachariah, filling in just about 2 hours in the books. 1 more to go. We're going to see how thick of skin our guy Josh has at the top of the hour. We're going to be talking to him. Let's just see if it's fair. I mean, maybe he'll just own up to it and say, you know what? You know what, Zachariah? That is totally fair. I am a traitor. I left the beautiful city of Salt Lake City, Utah, covering those wonderful Utes, and I saw the big city lights of big old Texas. And I started watching Matthew McConaughey videos, and now I've got some horns.
All right.
And now I'm hooking them horns. By the way, the NCAA put out you can do horns down legally. You just can't do it in a guy's grill.
Okay.
But we don't do that. You know, we do this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We do the U. So anyway, we'll talk to him about all of college football. We'll ask him about polls. Again, you can vote on at ESPN 700 is, of course, where you can vote on that. And then I've retweeted them at Zach Sports, ZAK Sports. Got to do this once an hour. Can't say enough about the good time that I had at the Salt Lake Bees game at Smith's Ballpark. Beautiful ballpark. And they will post the Round Rock Express tonight. And then tomorrow is like the princess theme, semi-quasi daddy-daughter night, whatever. Daughter in general, son in general. Hell, you can't tell me I did not love me some Jasmine when I was a kid. I know it's a cartoon, James, but that was a full-blown rush. I was like, oh, yeah.
Let's go, Jasmine.
Whatever Jasmine's got cooking, whatever she's putting down, I'm picking up. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, sons too, children in general, you know, who knows? And there's some adult men that go to like Comic-Con or whatever, and maybe they like princesses, whatever, whoever you are, what age, creed, color, gender, whatever your preference, go out to the ballpark. I like to call it daddy-daughter night because that makes the most amount of sense. But right now, if you want to go to the game tonight, tomorrow you're probably going to have to pay, but we're hooking you up tonight. And if you go tonight, you're probably going to want to go tomorrow because, again, I had a great time. You have to text the keyword bees, BEES. Text the keyword bees 33986 for your chance to win tickets. Seriously, great time out. And do you know any background? I don't want to like offend anybody or ruffle any feathers. Again, I'm trying to not get fired on my day off like RG3 did. So I don't want to ruffle any feathers. I want to be nice and amicable to everybody. But do you know why the hell they're leaving? Because the park is fantastic. Is it going to be that much better wherever they go?
Well, the new park, it's out in what they call Daybreak. That's the west side of the valley, southwest side of the valley.
Okay.
The renderings are spectacular. It's going to be a really nice park out there. It seems to be they want to get out of that area of downtown. There's a little bit more homelessness around where the ballpark is now. Location. They're doing the trend where a lot of professional teams are going out to the suburbs. They're trying that out.
The Braves did that. Yeah, the Braves did that.
They're trying that out. I honestly think why not just try to develop more around the ballpark area now, make it a little nicer now, because it's a shame that ballpark's going to go away. It really is. It's a fantastic ballpark, Smith's Ballpark.
It's wonderful. And then when they hit a home run, they did the whole, like you were in the club, you know, the lights flashed on and off, you know, they had the train in the background. The facility looked.
The mountain view, right in front of you is like one of the most, if not the most picturesque parks in professional baseball, of any baseball. Like, I don't know. It's a shame that it's going away.
James, you're talking to an Oakland A's fan who is devastated that they will not be remaining in Oakland. And I know that the Coliseum, even though I spent many of my younger years taking the BART there, going there as a kid when my dad had season tickets. So it was always glorious to me when they had like the water and like the ivy in the outfield. And yes, it turned into a dump when Mark Davis came back from LA and basically ruined the whole. I mean, you're preaching to the choir here, but that is distance. Smith's ballpark is not a dump. So I don't really get it. And I'm with you. Why not use that as an opportunity to redo all the things around it and make it a place where there's hotels and restaurants and you can create jobs? But anyways, we don't need to go down the political route. I know it's an election year, James, but we're supposed to talk sports here. And speaking of sports, let's get a PGA Tour leaderboard update brought to you by the Salt Lake City Golf Courses. Download the SLC Golf app today to book your tee times. You teased me a little bit with my guy Shoffley. He had more holes to play, correct? We have, of course, I want to say Finau.
Scheffler?
Yeah, Finau. No, well,
yes, Tony Finau.
Finau, the local product. My guy Shoffley, and then the one guy with the weird putter.
Yes,
who's my
Adam
guy?
Scott.
Adam Scott. So what's the leaderboard looking like this hour, James?
So Adam Scott is done for the day. So he is still he is the leader of the clubhouse at 13 under for the tournament, 9 under today. Like a hell of a round for Adam Scott.
Wow.
Also done for the day is second place Alex Narain, the Swedish golfer. He's at 8 under, and then a couple guys ahead of Xander Schauffele. He is now tied for 4th at 6 under. He's only through 6 holes, so he's got a lot left to go.
Beautiful.
And
That's what I like to hear.
He's 3 under for the day so far. So if he continues to play this well, he can get a lot closer to the lead by the end of the day. Let's do an update on our guy, Tony Finau. Unfortunately, I have to scroll down quite a bit to get to him.
That's good.
Yeah. Tied for 30th through 13 holes. He's even for the tournament, still 2 over for the day. And 30 is the cutoff line. There's no cut in these FedEx Cup playoff tournaments. You play the entire weekend, Thursday all the way to Sunday, but if you finish outside of the top 30 of this tournament, you are eliminated from the playoff. You do not get to move on to the final leg of the playoffs next weekend. So he is right there on that line, tied for 30th. Got more work to do to safely be able to move on to the final leg of the playoffs next week. That's the BMW Championship, second round of the FedEx Cup playoffs.
There you go. There you have it. There's your update. And again, brought to you by the Salt Lake City Golf Courses. Download the SLC Golf app today to book your tee times. I wanted to golf when I was out there. You know, OC sent a tweet out there while we were at the game, at the Bees game, and he said, "Rise for 24 more hours. What must he do?" Somebody said, "Do shoot." And one guy was kind enough to say, if you come up, I think it was like 45 minutes away, though. There's no way I was going to be able to fit it in. But he offered to pay for my round of golf. And I love to golf. I would love to golf when I'm out there. So next time I come out there, I got to make more of an extended stay. I think I'm going to have to find an Airbnb or a hotel, James, because I don't think OC likes me at his house. It's very clear his disdain for me. And obviously he has 3 children, 5 and under, and his wife is there. He doesn't want me there. You know what I mean?
I'm
going to have to find
I'm 40.
Yeah, I'm a man. I'm 4. I'm going to have to find like an extended Airbnb, something like that. And then I'm going to have to go golf. I don't even know what the shoot is, but apparently they're like, let the water back up and then they slide something down and then all the water pushes out and you go through this like 1,000-foot tube or whatever. That sounds like a heck of a lot of fun. I'm afraid of water and I do get claustrophobic, but I would still do that. Anyways, coming up next, we will ask the very first question. We're going to talk about all sorts of college football. We're going to give you your Ute fix. We're going to ask Josh about the polls. But Josh Newman, University of Texas beat writer, is it fair, as he has been covering the Utes, is it fair to call him a traitor? We'll see how thick his skin is, and we will talk some college football, the Utes specifically. We will update the polls. We will do all of that coming up next. 2 hours in the books, 1 more to go. It's the Sean O'Connell Show. Zachariah filling in right here, ESPN 700.
Two knees by Utah should do it here. There's a flag on the play. It's going to go against USC. They crossed. I think they were moving and crossed the line of scrimmage before the ball was kicked. We'll see. Either way, it'll be Utah football.
Illegal formation, kicking team. Only 3 players on one side of the kicker. 5-yard penalty will be added to the end of the kick. First down, Utah.
That's what it was. So 2 knees by Cameron Rising, and Utah will walk out of the Coliseum with its first win in 105 years and its first win in the Pac-12 era. And feeling really good about itself, too, right now, Scott. There's no way this Utah football team, based on where they were 2 or 3 weeks ago and what's happened over the last 2 weeks, this is one of the biggest wins of Kyle Whittingham's career, to be very fair.
It really is. I mean, under the circumstances, everything that's happened this year, just on the field, you know, with the slow start, and then, of course, everything off the field. And then you take Cam Rising, who first game he plays is against USC a year ago, gets injured.
First charge timeout, USC. 30 seconds in duration.
What? They just need to let it go, USC. Come on. You're not going to win the game.
They did this. This is really kind of poor form, to be fair, by USC.
It really is.
It really is poor form. Nothing's going to happen in the victory formation.
Yeah.
Full post-game show coming up. Sly will be downstairs with players. Matty Robles will be down there helping him, and we'll be rolling here momentarily. No victory formation here for Utah this time. Cam Rising, they're going to play action and throw it deep. Cam looking outside and caught. Down to the 25-yard line it goes. That's Devon Vele. USC decided to call timeout. Utah threw the ball. I love it.
I do too. I really do. Good for them.
They call another timeout. Utah should kick a field goal.
Yeah, I mean, really, it's like.
That is a great move by Andy Ludwig and Kyle Whittingham. Not going in the victory again. 19, 18, 17. Rising. He'll turn and give it. Tailback's got it. Just beyond the line of scrimmage it goes. Tavion Thomas. Now lots of pushing and shoving. USC getting a little chippy here, and that'll be the final play of the ball game. The scoreboard hits 0, and for the first time in 105 years, and for the first time in the Pac-12 era, the University of Utah has come to the Coliseum in Los Angeles and beaten the USC Trojans by a final score of 42-26. They did it for themselves, and they did it for their fallen teammate, Aaron Lowe. And it's a great night to be a Ute right here in Los Angeles, California, as Utah beats the Trojans tonight 42-26.
Yeah, really nice play by Cam here, and this is something that he's willing to do. You know, the pocket breaks down, he gets outside of leverage, and he runs. I mean, he's got some wheels on him. I mean, great job. And that's a 10-yard.
You're tuned into the Sean O'Connell Show, brought to you by Les Schwab Tires on Utah's #1 sports talk, ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM.
Welcome back to the program. It is the Sean O'Connell Show. His guy, Zachariah, filling in right here, ESPN 700. A ton to get to. We want you to participate. We will update that bottom of the hour before we get to crosstalk with Spence Checketts here to close out the show. But if you want to still chime in, and we'll ask our next guest some of these questions. But the Dish Pros text line is 877-353-0700. You can call in there as well, 877-353-0700. And on Twitter, at ESPN 700, I'm at Zach Sports, ZAK Sports. And our next guest is at Joshua_Newman. He is the University of Texas beat writer for the at Tex Long Star Live on Twitter. Follow that as well. Check them out. And the first question, I've been teasing this all show, Josh. Is it fair, as you were a man that lived in Utah for 4 years, you saw that big, shiny state of Texas, Matthew McConaughey and the like, Jerry Jones and Deion Sanders, and you said, hey, I am going to abandon Utah, and I'm going to bigger and better things in Texas. Is it safe to ask you, Josh? Joshua or Josh?
Josh is good. Appreciate it.
Okay. Josh, is it fair to call you a traitor here in the state of Utah?
Look, I've been called worse things than that. Look, I tried to stay in the state of Utah, okay? Everybody knows I was at the Salt Lake Tribune, and that ended, and I was at KSL.com freelancing for my guy, Josh Furlong. Tried to stay in the state of Utah. It didn't work out, but, look, we leveled up here career-wise and living situation-wise and in a number of ways. Really, really enjoyed my time in Utah. I think I was clear about that going out the door, but, that chapter ended. A new chapter started, covering Texas football now. I've been here 8 months and have yet to cover, a football season. So I'm pretty pumped here as the days are going by.
Yeah, I'm a Cali boy, and believe me, there are a lot of people leaving for the state of Texas, for the state of Nevada.
Right.
Sometimes you got to make. I'm just busting your,
No, we're all good.
I just have to start there. I did that for the Ute fans. I do want to get into the SEC here in a second, but I want to start with the Big 12. Obviously, you haven't covered Utah in the Big 12 because this is their first year there. But when you look at that and, knowing Utah team well, obviously completely decimated by injuries. I'm so tired of talking about injuries. I can't wait for the next season to start just so we can stop talking about all the injuries from last year. But when you look at this Utah team coming into the Big 12, now a lot of people are saying that their schedule is favorable. A lot of the teams that other pundits, people like yourself, are picking to win the Big 12 are not even on their schedule. But I put it up on the poll just out of curiosity. When you look at who is the biggest competition for Utah, should they not win the Big 12, would it be Kansas State, Oklahoma State, Kansas, or somebody else?
Look, I don't cover Utah anymore, so I'm not looking at it on like a day-to-day basis. I don't have it in front of me, but they play at Oklahoma State, which is that's a tough one, right? That's a top 3 Big 12 team. You have to go to Stillwater. Look, that's a trip you've never taken, an itinerary you've never taken, a stadium that you've never dealt with, a coaching staff that you've never dealt with. But if you can get yourself through that one, they're probably in pretty good position to at least put themselves in the mix to get to the Big 12 championship game. I'm not going to say that they're going to win the Big 12 based on that alone, but if you can get over that hurdle, you don't play Kansas, you don't play Kansas State, some of the tougher Big 12 teams on your schedule, you're getting at home. You get BYU at home. Look, you can throw the records out the window when Utah and BYU play. That's a blood rivalry, right, for generations. So, you don't want to assume health, but assuming Rising is healthy and Brand Keithy is healthy, and Dorian Singer coming in, and Mekhi Bernard, if he plays a full season, your linebacker core is a veteran group. The schedule certainly appears favorable, and you certainly have the personnel where you should be thinking Big 12 title, or at least a trip to the Big 12 championship game to give yourself an opportunity to win the Big 12. And then if you win the Big 12, you of course, are going to the college football playoff, and you get a bye as a top 4 seed. So there's plenty of reason for optimism here for Utah fans.
Now, it's a Friday show the week before opening, so this is my last time to kind of look into the past. And I know I said I wasn't going to bring injuries. I'm not going to ask so much the micro question on that, but you covering the team last year, based on how many injuries that they had, and they were still that competitive, specifically defensively, being around that team, it's got to be one of the more I've covered some teams in baseball, basketball, and football, and I know that the number one biggest annoyance is injuries, and knowing that if we just had a quarterback, we'd be in such a better spot. Or if this guy was here, we'd be in a much better spot. And nobody likes to play the woulda, coulda, shoulda game. But covering that last year, how impressed were you? We're already talking about, I don't know if you saw it, and I don't know how much stock you put into PFF, but they have Ludwig ranked as the third best offensive coordinator, not in the conference, but in the country. And then, of course, you have Scally, who's waiting in the wings to become the head coach once Ham steps down. But based on everything that they went through last year, how impressive was that coaching performance for them to be as competitive as they were?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I wrote this like going out the door. Like they played Colorado to end the regular season, and that was the end of my time at KSL. I'm pretty sure I wrote this like walking out the door. If you take a step back and you consider like the injury situation, and specifically with Rising being out for the whole year, and then you add into the mix, well, not only was Rising out, but your quarterback situation behind that was a mess, right? Like the opener against Florida last year, you went with both quarterbacks, right? You went with Bryson Barnes and Nate Johnson. It was Bryson Barnes, and then it was Nate Johnson, and then Nate Johnson opts to transfer, and Barnes is injured, and like Luke Batari, who was like QB5 to start the year, starts the game against Colorado, wins that game. The fact that that team went 8-4 is like pretty remarkable, and like I don't think you put that coaching job by Kyle Whittingham up in like the pantheon of like other seasons that he's had, but like you have to really take a step back and consider like 8-4 with all those injuries and that quarterback situation. So I mean, you know, the fan base is, you know, funny. You know, when Utah was fully healthy in 2022, they averaged like 39 points a game, you know, with Ludwig. And that was with Brant Keefe out and Dalton Kincaid getting keyed on much more. So then last year, it's like, yeah, people were getting mad at Ludwig. It's like, what do you want this guy to do? This guy started last season with like 1.5 hands tied behind his back with Rising out, and the QB situation was a mess. So, yeah, you know, if you look back and you consider what 2023 was, I mean, yeah, the fact that that team went 8-4, won at USC, you know, beat Florida. You know, I don't know that you call it a good season, but you can call it a complete train wreck. You can't call that season a complete train wreck, winning 8 regular season games with the amount of injuries they had. Yeah, it was wonky and it was weird, and nobody wants to like relive that type of season again. But you can call it a complete train wreck, like some people would like to.
Yeah, I mean, I would call it a minor miracle based on how many. I mean, number one, we all know quarterback is the most important position in sports. So him being out plus another litany of other injuries, to me, it was a miracle that they were even somewhat competitive. Speaking of Josh Newman, follow him on Twitter at Joshua_Newman, right here, ESPN 700, the Sean O'Connell Show. Zachariah filling in. One more Utes question before we get to the SEC, because I think I have a pretty fascinating question about the I mean, probably one that you've gotten 1,000 times, but I was shocked to see what I saw when I was doing a little bit of research leading up to the interview. But when it comes to the Utes, and a lot of this obviously came down with Corner Canyon's Jerome Miles having another amazing game after his debut game where he averaged like however many yards, and he's averaging 2.5 touchdowns a game. But the more macro question here, Josh, is can Utah get to the point where they're consistently in the conversation of 5-star recruits like they are with Miles and other big teams, or is this specifically because he's in their backyard? Like if they get him and big time recruits, then they have success in the playoffs. Is there a reason why they couldn't be up there with the Georgias and the Alabamas and the Ohio States?
Yeah, that's probably not going to happen. In terms of 5-star kids. And look, you know, that kid Miles, like I know he plays for Corner Canyon. I was following some of the tweets last night from some of the local guys. I mean, the kid's obviously a stud, and, you know, he's a 5-star. I don't think you're going to start to see Utah get in the mix recruiting-wise with the Georgias, the Ohio States, the Clemsons, the Texases, stuff like that. That's just not how Utah operates. They're not going out on a, you know, every cycle basis offering kids like that. And, you know, they don't have the resources that other schools have. They don't have the NIL situation that those bigger schools have, and that's fine. Like, that's not what Utah has been, you know, for a generation under Kyle Whittingham. I think even as NIL has gotten more prevalent and become more of a factor, I think Utah has still kind of made its bones here, you know, looking for the under-recruited kid, right? The mid 3-star, the high 3-star. Now they are getting into the mix certainly with more 4-star type of kids, right? Like when Clark Phillips III, who's now with the Atlanta Falcons, when he committed to Utah in 2020, that was a huge deal. Like that was the first 4-star kid, I believe. First 5. Yeah. He was the highest rated recruit in program history. You're starting to see more 4-stars consider Utah. Now, look, does it help that this Miles kid is right in Utah's backyard? Yes, certainly. Like if there's a kid in your backyard playing in the state of Utah that you really want, you're going to go after him and you're going to throw resources at him. And that's what they're doing here. But no, I don't think it's rational to think that, look, even if they get this kid, they go to the college football playoff, this, string of success continues. I don't think it's rational to believe that Utah is going to start getting in the mix for more 5-star kids. That's just not how they're built, and that's just not how they operate.
Let's get you out of here on this. This is your wheelhouse now as you have turned the U into the Longhorns. But taking a look at the SEC, look, we know the Big 12 as Utah goes in, you have Texas, Oklahoma go out into the SEC. You look at these predictions and take it for what it's worth, but I know guys like you take your job very seriously, and these people aren't just spewing stuff out there. Much like radio hosts like me do. I mean, I do my research, but I'm not quite in the weeds as much as you guys are. But I take a look and I'm seeing Ole Miss. I feel great about this pick. There's no in between. Lane Kiffin's crew is going to crush it. I see Missouri. I cannot think of a funnier possible outcome than the SEC affirming its super conference status than handing the league trophy over to Elijah by God Dirkwitz. Then I see Texas. This team has Quinn Ewers in offense and Trey Moore on defense, and the others do not. And then the one that I choose, the one that I'm most fearful of, because I've said this on air before, Josh, if it was not for one man, and I'm not talking about a player, I'm not talking about a quarterback, I'm not talking about a running back, I'm talking about a defensive player. If it was not for Nick Saban, I believe that Kirby Smart would be looking at like 5 straight national championships. So sure. Georgia's the one that fears me the most. But obviously, my point is the fact that I can find that many different choices to win the SEC, how stacked and loaded is this conference? Are they just going to beat up on each other? And where does the team that you're now covering, the Longhorns, where do they stand?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think it's hard to, again, it's on paper. We haven't played a game yet, but we have to see how things play out. But, my preseason poll, right, like the media got to vote on the preseason poll for the SEC. I had Georgia number 1. I had Texas number 2. Georgia, there's a lot of hype on Carson Beck, right, the quarterback at Georgia.
Yep.
I don't know, man. I think I think Georgia and Texas are like a little closer than people want to admit. Like I do think it's Georgia 1, Texas 2, but I think it's I think that gap is like a little closer than people want to admit. Now look, Texas here in the month of August, they had their number 1 running back, CJ Baxter, down for the season, tore his LCL and PCL tendons, and then a week later, their number 3 kid, Christian Clark, tore his Achilles. So they are very thin at running back, which is a bit of a problem. It's not dire, but the margins are very thin. But look, you've got Quinn Ewers, who is a 3rd-year incumbent starter. That does not happen in college football anymore. So you've got a 3rd-year starter with the same head coach, the same play caller, the same offensive coordinator. You lost a bunch of wide receivers to the NFL, but this is Texas. You went right into the portal. You got new guys, strong guys, Power 5 resumes. Look, I think the question to Texas are, can they stop the run? Because their 2 interior defensive linemen, right, their 2 DTs are both off to the NFL. So you have to plug new pieces in. And frankly, they were very bad against the pass last year. I think they were 116th nationally in passing yards allowed, somehow still won 12 games, went to the college football playoff. So I think there's some questions on defense. I think, the running back situation, we'll see how that plays out, right? We're going to find out pretty immediately, okay? They open against Colorado State, but then they go to Michigan week 2 on September 7th. So we're going to find something out about Texas like pretty immediately. But look, just like we were talking about Utah, I think the Texas schedule is pretty favorable. You don't play Alabama, you don't play Ole Miss, you don't play LSU. You have to play Georgia, but they're coming here to Austin. You have to play at Texas A&M. Huge game, monster game. You have to go to Texas A&M to close the regular season. That's another blood rivalry for all time. You have to go to Arkansas, which is another gigantic game in these parts. But again, coaching continuity, right? Same head coach, same OC, same DC, QB can be a Heisman type of kid. I think, again, I picked Texas to finish second. And like every time I look at the schedule, I'm looking at it, it's like, yeah, I don't think they're going to beat Georgia. And, let's give them, another hiccup somewhere. So, look, 10-2, even 9-3. 9-3 probably doesn't get you to the SEC championship game. But remember, you are looking at a 12-team playoff. A 9-3 SEC team is not getting left out of a 12-team college football playoff. So, if they lose to Michigan week 2, in the past with a 14 playoff, that's a zero-sum game. You lose that game week 2, you have no more room for error.
You're done.
You're done. If you lose against Michigan this year with a 12-team playoff, you can still get on the plane home knowing that you still have a season. So, again, they're going to be really good, national championship caliber type of good. But to your point, I think there's options. I think there's going to be some surprises. Like, I don't think it's out of the question that we see 5 SEC teams go to the playoff, right? If we're talking about Georgia, Texas, Alabama, I think Ole Miss is right there. LSU is right there. That's 5. Potentially Missouri. So it's going to be an interesting year. Look, the biggest, baddest conference in the country, right? The SEC got even bigger and badder because you added Texas and you added Oklahoma. So again, just from a personal standpoint, like never dreamt I would be in this position to be covering SEC football. Very, very excited to get started finally next week.
Like 2 or 3 word answer because I've blown up the clock as I've been known to do. Any chance that the Big 12 has more than one team in the playoff?
Sure, but I would cap it at 2. It's just not a very strong conference. I think they're going to cannibalize each other. Could be 1. I would say 2 max.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I don't know if you follow Mike the Mad Dog, the radio legend, but he ranked his 12. And he didn't even put a Big 12 team. He just put Big 12 champion. So they're kind of the afterthought, but hopefully they they show some competitive juice and they put themselves on the map.
I grew up in the Long Island suburbs in the 90s. I think I've heard of Chris Russo for sure, too.
Yeah, you didn't have a choice. That was back when there was just like 1 or 2 stations. All right,
That's it.
Josh Newman. Follow him on Twitter at Joshua_Newman. Again, he covers the University of Texas for the @EX Lone Star Live Advanced Local. Josh, appreciate your time. Happy college football is basically here. 6 days away, at least for the youth.
All right, boys. Appreciate it.
Have a good one, Josh. There you go. Josh Newman. Good stuff. Yeah. I mean, I think it's good for Utah if they get 2 teams in the playoffs. At the point, it's weird. And I've been saying this for a while, but college football is just getting weird. It's like you're rooting for the conference because your team's in the conference. So, like, if any other Big 12 team is playing any team other than Utes, you're rooting for that team. And you've kind of always done it, but it seems like, as I've been saying more and more, that I think it's going to be like the AFC and the NFC in college. As long as you're the whatever that would be, whatever the Big 12 is, Canadian football, I mean, it's not that much of a drop-off, but you get my point. We're rooting to put that on the map so that everything that you accomplished, every win you get, looks that much better. But, yeah, I mean, he's like, I've capped it 2. He's like, 2 is the most. And I don't think most people, James, are picking 2 teams to come out of the Big 12 in the playoffs.
No.
I think it'll be the champion.
I'm with him. I would not be comfortable picking more than 2 to make the playoffs this year, but I could very well see just being the champion making it, depending on how many losses the runner-up has, right? If the runner-up has 1, maybe 2 losses, maybe they can get in. That's why it's incumbent on the Utes to make good on all these expectations and go out and win the conference. Get that automatic bid because nothing else is guaranteed, right?
Yeah, and also the next time you have a meeting with Steve over there in the ESPN 700 studios, next time you have a meeting with Steve, why can't we get a Big 12 network? I go down my scroll, I see the SEC network, I see the Big 10 network.
It's the ESPN Plus Big 12 now. I got confused with that. I was calling it Big 12 Network because everywhere in the short form it said Big B12N. So I'm like, oh, Big 12 Network. But then I find out, I've been saying it wrong. It's Big 12 Now, which is just ESPN Plus. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I'm with you, though. Like, let's get a Big 12 network here. ESPN, Fox. Come on.
For sure. 100%. I'll do it for free for the first couple of months. But, yeah, I mean, just look at the conference, man. It's crazy. You got Georgia at 1. You got Texas at 4. You got Alabama at 5. You got Ole Miss at 6. You got Missouri at 11. You got LSU at 13. You got Tennessee at 15. You got Texas A&M at 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 teams in the top 20. It's nuts. So, again, just root for the Big 12 is all I can tell you. As long as they're not playing the Utes, root for the Big 12. You want that conference to look as nice and sexy, wise as possible, because we're all about the Utes out there. We don't really care about any of those other teams. We want them to win every other game, so that when they play us, and yes, I said us, then we win the darn game. You know what I mean? All right. Coming up, bottom of the hour, we will get into the polls. We will revisit them. We will update them. You can vote on them at ESPN 700, at Zach Sports, ZAK Sports. Plus, I haven't really even done my wacky world of sports, and we're obviously not going to do that in the last segment because we're going to check in with Spence. And so we'll do that, and we'll clean up a bunch of stuff, James. We'll call this the cleanup segment as we get into the weekend. I feel like, all things considered, James, you and I deserve a big hug, a pat on the back. You know what I mean? Maybe a brewski. How long was I gone, by the way, when my power went out for like 30 seconds? How long did that last on air? How much did you have to stretch that out?
It was maybe 2-3 minutes. We were good, though.
Oh, okay.
I explained the polls. I explained the polls. I started to shout out the guest list, and then you were back. So we're all good.
Okay.
I do 2 hours every Saturday, man. I can hold it. I can hold it down.
Yeah.
Program director, right. Let's go.
Yeah. Yes, but James, as you are the jack of all trades, a host and a program director, a lot different when you walk into a 2-hour show and you know that you have to prepare for 2 hours.
It's true.
When you're assuming that you're going to produce a guy who's only going to toss you a couple of times, and all of a sudden, no screen, no mic, no video, no nothing. But we got through it. It's the initial week. Cut us some slack. Maybe, James, you can read that text. Pull that text up. Don't read it now, but read it in the next segment as we go into the weekend, because we got some kind words from a texter yesterday. I wasn't able to hear it because we got it too late after the show, but somebody that showed some mercy, showed some grace. You know what I'm saying? All right, the cleanup segment coming up next. It's the Sean O'Connell Show. Zachariah filling in right here, ESPN 700.
Jordan Noyes has it teed off on the north 35-yard line. He'll kick to the south. And we're ready to play football here tonight at Rice-Eccles Stadium. A high end-over-end kick that will go into the end zone and be returned. And now they'll say a touchback. He gave the sign for the fair catch. That was Rashad White, and then he decided to bring it out. You can't do that, so ASU will have it 1st and 10 at their own 25-yard line. And we will see for the first time tonight the guy that committed to Utah, they changed his mind. That's quarterback Jaden Daniels, a 6'3 junior who's really good, Scott, a dual-threat quarterback.
Yeah, he's going to be a challenge for Utah. He's a guy that can throw the ball very accurately, and he can also make and extend plays running the football. So it'll be interesting to see how Utah handles him tonight.
It won't be White, though, that starts out in the backfield. It'll be Tranum that will be in the backfield. Chip takes it. Play action pass. Daniels looking down the field, throwing down the field. Is it caught? It is. Ricky Pearsall makes the grab on the near sideline for a gain of, what are they going to call it, 12 yards and a first down. So a little play action on first down. Pearsall gets both feet down, and a 12-yard gain here for the Devils. First down and 10. They'll move it to the 37-yard line. Utah with a 4-man down front. They'll spread the field with 4 wide receivers. Daniels this time will hand off. Right side, pushing the pile forward to about the 40-yard line and a gain of 3. Decent run on the play that time by Arizona State off that right-hand side.
Yeah, and that's a good sign there by Utah. Playing downhill early in this game is so important for this defense. You can't let this offensive line get into these linebackers in the second level.
Train in the back of the backfield on 2nd down and 7 from the ASU 40, and Utah crowding the line of scrimmage. Daniels now changing the play. 2 tights and 2 wides here for the Devils as Daniels operates out of the gun. He'll scramble to his right and get into the open field beyond the 45 and diving out near midfield to about the 50-yard line. He picks up 10 yards. That's what he can do. Simple zone read that time. And the tackle by Fabian Marks in the open field. First down for ASU.
Yeah, and Utah had the play covered. They had 9 guys at line of scrimmage. Should have had that play.
Here we go. They're going to throw the flanker screen to the outside. It's caught there. Through some traffic and down is Brian Thompson with just his 4th catch of the year. The former Ute picks up 4 yards to the Utah 46-yard line.
Yeah, and that's something that USC did fairly effective is this bubble screen, and I'm sure Utah's going to see a heavy dose of it.
5 wide look now, and Daniels backpedals to pass. Pressure coming, firing over the middle. He's got the underneath man beyond the 40 to the 35-yard line. Ricky Pearsall again. And another good pickup, that time for ASU. Picking up 12, making 11 more yards, and a first down to the Utah 35. They're having no trouble, Scott, on this opening drive moving the football.
Yeah, and it's just, it's not just high percentage, quick throwing, quick hitting runs. I mean, I don't know.
3 wide, the tight end. Train him in the backfield. He'll now motion to the right-hand side of Jaden Daniels. Utah rushing 5 this time. Daniels surveys, scrambles out to his right, looks down the field, fires behind his man, incomplete. Trying to get that to Curtis Hodges, who's kind of a hybrid tight end wide receiver look. He's one of their leading wide receivers. Incomplete. That time a little bit of pressure on Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, and Utah brings a corner blitz here, and really it's kind of a run blitz, but just a little bit behind his wide receiver was Jaden Daniels. But again, you move him in the pocket a little bit, make him a little bit nervous, show him these different looks, and over time that.
You're listening to the Sean O'Connell Show, your source for the best Utes football coverage. Here's OC from the Murdoch Hyundai studio of ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM.
Excellent song. Perfect for a Friday. I went to school in Santa Barbara, not that anybody cares, but it's about a 5-hour drive from where I live up Berkeley. And the drive to Santa Barbara, my buddy had a Mustang, dropped the top, play a little Tom Petty Free Fallin', and all of a sudden that 5-hour drive seems like nothing. Those were the good old days. Welcome on back. It is the Sean O'Connell. Zachariah filling in as my guy is doing some play-by-play. PFL out there in Chocolate City, the nation's capital, Washington, D.C. Make sure you check my guy out. What did he say, 8 o'clock? Utah time?
Yeah, I believe
James,
he said 8 o'clock on ESPN and ESPN Plus.
And if you are a listener and you are a lover of the fighting sport, then you should definitely check it out. And if you're a novice like me who likes it here and there, who checks out the, McGregors of the world, or, Chael Sonnen was always kind of entertaining. But I'm telling you, these PFL fights, I have gotten sucked into them, and I have watched a whole card before where I'm just like, because this is the beauty. OC, if you don't know the backstory, won $1 million in a PFL tournament. And I stupidly declined his ringside tickets in New York City on New Year's Eve. To this day, I regret that. But I didn't like seeing I'm a little squirmish, man. I'm a lover, not a fighter. All the blood, getting your nose punched in and all that stuff, it's hard for me to watch. But anyways, when you have that kind of money on the line, believe me, OC would get his brains beaten in for about 3 rounds. He always gets mad at me because I say 8. 3 rounds, and then in the 4th, knock the guy out. But it's hard for me to watch my buddy get his face beaten in. As much as I should probably enjoyed it, now that he's so mean to me, I'd probably enjoy it. At the time, he was nice to me, so I didn't like watching it. But anyways, the point is, I will get sucked into those fights, and even as a non-huge fighter guy, I find myself loving those fights. So check them out tonight on ESPN. And what you should also be checking out, if you're going to stay at home, watch OC. If you want to hit the streets and go have dinner and you're looking for an event, then you should go to the Salt Lake Bees game. I am a person that can speak from personal experience. As I went there on Tuesday, I have the pennant behind me to prove it. I went in the booth, watched some play-by-play action, sat basically behind home plate, and it was a lot of action. We had triples, we had homers, we had guys getting doubled up on the base pass, which really chapped my hide to sound like I'm from the 1920s. But anyways, the Salt Lake Bees are hosting the Round Rock Express tonight at Smith's Ballpark. Text the keyword Bees to 3986 for your chance to win tickets. And again, we talked about it, James. Tomorrow is Princess Fairy sort of night. It's all the characters. Are they legally allowed to use like the Disney characters? James, is this thing sponsored?
I'm not sure if it's going to be full-blown Disney characters. I have not been to a fairy tale / princess night game, believe it or not.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if it's just people dressed up like princesses or if they're actual characters that we know.
Regardless, she'll be regardless, she'll be entertained.
Either way, it'll be outstanding.
Yeah. And we will do crosstalk. Spence Checketts coming up next, along with topical trivia. If you are a Jason Aldean fan or you're a Fight Con fan, you're going to want to pay attention in the next segment as we give you the trivia question that you can text in and win some tickets that way. But I want to get to this, James. We were supposed to do this feels like 17 hours ago, even though this show has flown by with all the stuff behind the scenes and trying to spin all these plates. It feels like we were supposed to get to this a while ago. But Canadian Football League, and this is shout out to Zoe. He sent me the link, and I believe his text. I don't feel like pulling it up because I've typed in too many passwords for the day. But he said something along the lines of, "This is why nobody takes Canadian football seriously." But let's play the sound. Well, let me describe it before. You're going to hear a missed field goal. Normally, that would be a bad thing. A missed field goal when, who's the famous guy from the Bills? Steve Novich,
Scott Norwood,
whatever it is. Anyway,
is that the guy?
Scott Norwood.
Yeah.
There you go. Hey, I had the
wide
S
right,
and the N right. What's funny, James, is that I had the S and the N right, but totally off on the name. Anyways, the point is, you usually go down in infamy when you miss a field goal in the game. But in this instance, and we'll play the audio here, it was actually a good thing.
The walk-off Argo win. Iralau heading left. Missed it. It ends out, but it's a single point, and it doesn't matter.
So good. It's so pathetic.
How hard must that be for an announcer? The kick is up. It is no good. But wait, that's a good thing. They win the game. So
Argos win.
In the Canadian Football League, a missed field goal that goes through the end zone is actually a point. So time was expiring, and even though he missed the field goal, they were tied. So he didn't need the 3 points. I mean, basically, he just had to kick it forward, right, James? Because if it went to the left or the right, you don't get the point. It's got to go through the end zone. But essentially, he could have made 100 feet on the left or the right, and they still would have won the game.
He could have done one of the most painful missed field goals in my fandom. Colts in the playoffs against the Steelers. Probably an obscure game for anyone who's not a Colts or Steelers fan, but Mike Vanderjagt shanks it, a potential game-winning field goal in the dome, and he was the most accurate field goal kicker in the history of the NFL at that time and shanked it. They cut him, and they signed Adam Vinatieri the next offseason. Anyway, he could have done that and still won the game.
Now, let me ask you this, Colts fan. That tied into this is back when the Pro Bowl was still in Hawaii. Yes, I'm that old, folks. But is this tied into when Peyton Manning on the sidelines of the Pro Bowl in Hawaii called Vanderjagt his idiot drunk kicker?
Yeah, I think that was the same
season.
I think it was the same season. I think that was a couple weeks after that playoff loss. It was so painful.
Gotcha. I didn't realize that was all.
That was
tied
when
in. Yeah. I don't remember the missed field goal.
The first Ben Roethlisberger Super Bowl year when they were the first road team to win all 3 games and get to the Super Bowl. It was
with Cowher. Yeah, that was with Cowher. His second one was that amazing.
Right before he retired after the Super Bowl win. Yeah.
Yeah. Big Ben's second one was that amazing one against Arizona when James Harrison returned it like 99 yards right at the end of the half.
Rumbling, bumbling, stumbling down the line.
Yes. There you go. Very good.
It's the perfect boomer Chris Berman call there.
You're really peeling my brain back, but I believe that was Santonio Holmes and the tiptoe touchdown in the back of the end zone. That was an excellent Super Bowl. That Cardinals Steelers.
Santonio Holmes from the Ohio State University, by the way.
And we'll close out our fun in the 40s, our first one and only one, because we've been running long all day long. Hopefully I don't get screamed at by Jackie or Steve or anything like that. I've been doing my best out here in these streets. So hopefully I'll get yelled. But part of what I've been teasing for, I think, 2 days now, and don't get mad at me. Don't mute my microphone like OC would. Don't get mad at me, but I've been teasing this. Your guy, Anthony Richardson, who threw an egregious pick six last night. I don't know if you were watching good old preseason Thursday night football, but he showed you why Colts fans are excited about him. And they also, he showed you why they are very worried about him last night if you watched that game. But prior, there was a Bengals-Colts practice, and the Bengals defense was running their mouth after a dominant day against the Colts starters. Here are the quotes from Cam Taylor-Britt after an Anthony Richardson scramble. That's all he does is run. B.J. Hill, quote, throw the damn ball. And then Geno Stone, after a Richardson incompletion, he only throws to spots. He doesn't throw to receivers. So that was the reception that Anthony Richardson, a very talented, without a doubt, quarterback at Florida, that was the reports that the Bengals defense gave him on what appeared to be very much an off day. Coming up next, we will do crosstalk. We'll give you a chance to get some tickets. If you are a big fan of fights, we got that. If you are a big fan of Jason Aldean, we got tickets for that as well. But you're going to have to answer a question that pertains to the past 3 hours on this show. We'll do that next, plus check in with Spence Checketts, all coming up next. It is the Sean O'Connell Show. Zachariah filling in right here, ESPN 7.
White stays in the ball game, is the tailback. Daniels in the backfield. He'll backpedal to pass. Surveys, fires, outside, caught, and is it caught? Jalen Conyers there. Boy, I thought he juggled that going to the ground. They'll say that's a catch as he picks up 6 yards at the 12-yard line and a first down.
Yeah, and Utah didn't even have anyone on him at all. But, yeah, it's a catch. He got it completely in his grasp.
So first down and 10 for Arizona State on the opening drive of the ball game. To the Utah 12 they go. Turn in a toss sweep to the left-hand side. They've got a man at the 10. They've got a man at the 5. That's Pearsall. And a flag flies. I think we're going to have another holding penalty here on ASU.
Holding. Offense. Number 74.
Yep, they're going to get Casey Hatch. Another one of those hybrid wide receiver tight ends on the hold that time. That erased what would have been about a 4-yard gain inside the 10 to Pearsall. And back it up now outside the 20-yard line.
Yeah, and you hold on that edge like that, it's pretty easy for that official to see. So if you're going to hold, you got to hold on the inside, the guard area.
First down and 20, back at the 22-yard line. Daniels, hands, running back, near side, running room, inside the 10. And all the way down to the 8-yard line goes Rachaad White. Fabian Marks on the tackle again. He's been busy here early. Pickup of 14 yards on the play. Second down and 6 now. Daniels empties the backfield, backpedals into the shotgun. 3 wide right, 2 wide left here for Daniels. Surveys, looks, scrambles out to his right-hand side, throws to the end zone, back of the end zone, caught and dropped. Oh, he had a man open. That was Andre Johnson who had it on the back line and dropped it. That'll bring up third down.
Yeah, right now this pace that Arizona State's going at, a lot of no huddle, a lot of different people are getting involved in the offense.
has clearly created a lot of confusion for Utah. You've got some guys that have been wide open, and Utah hasn't done a very good job of covering and make sure they got everyone accounted for.
They can get a first down at the Utah 2-yard line, 3rd down and 5. Daniels and White in the gun. They motion White out of the backfield. Daniels looks, surveys, throws all by himself at the goal line and in. That's a touchdown for Jalen Conyers. First touchdown of the season for Conyers. 3rd catch of the season for Conyers, and there was nobody in his area code. He was wide open.
Well, Utah's in a man coverage, and they looked like they tried to switch it off, and both guys went to the back, swinging out of the backfield, and there's just poor communication or understanding of what you're trying to do defensively, and you're going to have a player wide open.
So Christian Zendejas of the famous Zendejas kicking family on for the PAT. It's up, and it's good. And a good start for the Devils here. 9:50 to play in the first quarter. ASU marches down the field and scores a touchdown on their opening drive. They lead at 7-0. Logan Tyler, who's got 27 touchbacks this year, will tee it up. Kicking south to north here. Britton Covey back to receive this kick for Utah. 9:50 to play here in the first quarter. 7-0 Arizona State. Going to be with you tonight here from the Big O Tires broadcast booth. Bill Riley, Scott Mitchell. We'll try and get to our guy Stevenson Sylvester downstairs in just a bit. Here's the kick by Tyler. Is high and end over end, and Covey will let it go out the back of the end zone for a touchback. And so now
You're tuned to the Sean O'Connell Show from the Murdoch Chevrolet studio of ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM.
Because I'm being told by my guy behind the glass
Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead and
turn my camera on. My camera's on my end, so I'm not sure how much more I can do, but it would be a fitting way to end the week if I was just off the camera for the last segment. Coming up top of the hour, you know it, I know it, is Spence Checketts in the Drive. And this crosstalk is brought to you by Bolt Skin and Shave, the first brand for men who shave their legs. This Utah brand is leading a new revolution in men's grooming with a full suite of shave products from their 5-blade performance razor. Visit boltshave.com. We also have a little topical trivia to get to before we get to Spence. We have 2 tickets to see Jason Aldean. For that, I will ask, what did it seem that Bill Riley insinuated when it came to where Utah will always be when it comes to recruiting? Did he think that he'll be up there with the big dogs? That they'll get to the big dogs, they're close, but they're not there yet? Or that they'll never be where the big dogs are? Which of those 3 did Bill seem, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but what did he seem to insinuate? So we'll do that for the Jason Aldean tickets. And then for the FightCon tickets, October 5th at Mountain America Expo Center for FightCon. We'll do that in the name of OC. What did OC think Utah should throw at 5-star recruits? Anything necessary? $1 million, which is in the general price range of where 5-star recruits are going, $500,000, or his 4th option, which is nothing until he actually produces on the field. So that's where you go. You go ahead and text the answers to those trivia questions, 877-353-0700 to get your tickets. Now we bring on Spence Checketts. Spence, it feels like it's been forever. I know I saw you in person. We got to meet at the sales party, but it feels like it's been forever since we did crosstalk. How are you, bud?
Hear me? Oh, hello.
There he is.
We're a work in progress here at ESPN 700. I got you now. Yeah, man, I didn't realize you were skipping town after just like a day here. I thought I'd have a couple of days to get to know you a little bit, but it was fun to have you out here.
Yeah, it was one of those things, Spence, where it was like OC was leaving on Wednesday, so I didn't stay at his house when he's not there, and then I didn't want to ask the company for an Airbnb or hit you up, who I barely know, and say, hey, Spence, can I stay at your house for a couple of days? I mean, I was doing the shows Thursday and Friday, so it made sense for me to stay out there, but I just ended up coming back. It all worked out, but it was finally, nice to meet you actually in person, and we had the production meeting. And And it was a great turnout. It was a great time. I think it was very reflective of the excitement about youth football.
Yeah, it's that time of year. You know, we're having the weather cool down just a little bit. It's still pretty warm, but some clouds and some rain. And you look at the forecast, and it's still going to be warm, but it's starting to cool down, and you just can kind of feel it. So I live up by campus, and one of the things I do every morning is I walk my dog around campus. And now you can see the signage going up, and so many students with Mush shirts on and Utah football shirts on. And we walk right by Rice-Eccles Stadium, so it's there in the background. And you know the deal. You've done sports talk radio long enough, and certainly you'll understand the biorhythms of our market where, like, July and August, you are just pulling things out of thin air to kind of talk about. And now we get game week next week. So we've finally been able to make it to the – because, look, you know the deal. You need games. That's what it comes down to. You need games in this business. And when you go like 2 months –
Spence.
Yeah.
Yes.
And if we get baseball here, it'll be different. And I love our soccer club. But now that we have football game week next week, you kind of feel like as a sports talk radio host, you kind of made it.
Yeah, and I know that OC didn't do this on purpose. He doesn't make the PFL schedule. But, boy, did he not stick me with 2 solo shows, Thursday and Friday, 2 weeks back-to-back, where I'm sitting there going, and I'm trying to come up with as many unique angles as possible. But you, Spence, spending as much time as you had out there in Utah, can you compare this to another time in terms of excitement, especially with the way that it's formatted now, Spence, and it like basically becoming sort of the NFL, but now like a 12-team playoff based on what we all hope to be a big year in the Big 12. Have you felt this kind of confidence? And because there was a time where even if they went undefeated, it didn't matter. Or maybe they got, really good, but they were not the one or the two. Now anything kind of goes, and especially with the first round bye, based on what you've been seeing, as you said, you live near campus. Have you felt this kind of energy that you can remember?
So I'll always harken back to that 2019 team. When you look at that roster, there were pros up and down. Tyler Huntley had really shown the previous year that he was going to be a good answer under center. They had Zach Moss, who I think is probably one of the top 4 or 5 football players that has ever played for Utah football. And, they stubbed their toe down the stretch. But that was when I felt like Utah had arrived as not just a Pac-12 contender, but like the big dog in the Pac-12 and one of the preeminent football programs in the Western United States, because for all the love that USC has always received, it had been a number of years since, Pete Carroll, Snoop Dogg smoking weed, Will Ferrell on the sideline hanging out. Like USC had not been the program that everybody thought that they were for a number of years. And Utah still, to this day, I mean, Caleb Williams did a podcast and he was asked about Ute fans and he peed down his leg. Like Utah has owned USC, but 2019 was, from my perspective, as a student there in the late 90s, a media member for 20 years, where I'm like, all right, this is the year where they're going to win the Pac-12. They're going to go to the Rose Bowl. They're going to win the Rose Bowl, and then we'll see what happens. But to your point, because of the new format, because of the opportunity to get involved with the expanded CFP, there does feel like there's a lot of excitement for that possibility. But at the same time, I'm also hearing from a lot of people that aren't thrilled that the Pac-12 is no longer the reality and the Big 12 is the landing spot. I have a couple of friends that didn't renew their tickets. They loved the USC, the UCLA, the Oregon opportunities, when those teams came into town. And the home schedule this year is not as sexy as it's been for a while. So, look, there's a tremendous amount of excitement because Utah football is the best product in the market right now, with BYU football kind of in the middle. Nobody knows what to expect from them. There's a lot of excitement for the hockey club. The Jazz are going to be underwhelming once again, but we do have a soccer club that should make a nice run. But Utah football is the best product we have in our state right now, and that's why it's awesome we have it on our station, and that's why there's a ton of excitement for next Thursday.
Well, next time I come out there, since hopefully it's for more of an extended stay and we could spend some time together, because I want to talk 90s Knicks with you. I want to talk hip-hop with you. I want to talk jazz hoop with you. So hopefully we get some time to break bread and hang out. But so tell us what's coming up on the show, man. I'll be listening. It's my Friday. As I sit on the air, I'm 40 now. No more clubs, no more bars for me for the most part. I'm pretty much an old man. Saturdays I go out a little bit, but it's not what it was when I was in my 20s and 30s. But what's coming up on the drive as everybody gets ready for their weekend?
Yeah, when you age, hangovers are a week-long situation, so you try to avoid those. Mostly football
100%.
today. Yeah, mostly football today. We are going to do a little soccer. RSL is back in action tomorrow. Chris Camerani from The Athletic, who wrote a great piece on Utah football. He sat down with Coach Witt. He talked to Cam Rising. He's going to join us. JB Long, who called games on the Pac-12 network. He is the voice of the LA Rams, will stop by. We'll do some NFL and some college football with him. Jason Christ to talk RSL, and Kyle Bonagura for more college football. So mostly college football, little RSL, getting people ready for next week.
Yeah, look, I understand Utah doesn't have an NFL team, but as much as we're talking about the college football season being 6 days away, the NFL season is 13 days away.
Yes, sir.
So, yeah, I'll definitely be tuned in. Well, it's nice to meet you finally in person, Spence. And like I said, next time I'm out there, we'll spend an extended period of time together. Have a great show.
All right, man. Have a good weekend. Chat soon.
There you go. Spence Checketts. Again, this is my final time congratulating him, but congratulations to him on a new deal. He will be around ESPN 700 for a long time, and that's good for everybody. So as we get into the college season, next time I'll talk to you, it's still Utes football will not be played. Zachariah Hour is every Wednesday from 1 to 2 p.m. leading into Spence's show. We'll probably blow up his clock as we did a little bit here. I try to be good. I try to respect the clock. But in the name of OC, you got to blow it up a little bit because OC is like terrible, way worse than me when it comes to the clock. So you got to just, give me a little golf clap to my guy, James, behind the dish. We had trials, we had tribulations. I'm going to try to make my setup a little better here. I got Tupac over here. I got my Ute shirt here. Jordan, Montana, Barkley, Jordan, they're kind of out of the picture now. Anyways, I'll get it all set up. Hopefully by next Wednesday. Be sure to follow me on Twitter if you are not already. I am shameless for my plug on that, at Zach Sports, ZAK Sports. And I'm hoping come Wednesday that my hour is sponsored. So I'm going to spend Monday and Tuesday. I'm calling every local business. You're going to sponsor my hour. You're darn right you are. I got a what do they call it? A something sheet. James, do you even know the name of it? There's a name for it. It's like it's a something sheet. Anyways, I got it emailed by the head of sales. A young lady named Jackie. And so I'm going to be emailing that out, getting my hour sponsored. I'll be joining you guys on the Sean O'Connell Show, the Zachariah Hour. And it's been a pleasure joining you guys for the past couple of days. I'll be joining you more. OC's got more to call, so I'll be doing solo shows. Hopefully, like I said, I'm an acquired taste. Hopefully you get to love me because I'm certainly loving me some Salt Lake City, Utah. I went out there this past week, and it is as beautiful, if not more, than it was the first time I went out probably 5-6 years ago. So anyways, this has been the Sean O'Connell Show. Zachariah filling in. Keep it locked for the Spence Checketts Show, The Drive, coming up next right here, ESPN 700.